Chapter 840. Those with tickets, please help lift it up. The lid of the crystal ice coffin flew into the air and opened in an instant. The jade arm in the ice coffin suddenly broke out of the coffin. Without any hesitation, her slender hand made a grabbing motion towards the void serpent that resided on the divine mountain. Hiss! The void serpent, which was hundreds of thousands of feet long, showed fear in its eyes. It opened its mouth and let out a terrifying roar that could tear apart gold and stone. In the face of the jade arm, the serpent trembled violently in fear. It turned around and was about to drill into the void. It did not have the slightest bit of pride as a primordial ferocious beast. However, when the jade arm grabbed at the void, there seemed to be an irresistible power pouring out from the jade-like hand, completely sealing off the entire world with a single grab. Even time, space, and all Yuan-Chi were all sealed. Then, a terrifying scene appeared before the eyes of the all-heavens cultivators. The void serpent, which had swallowed even the sinless city, the heartless heavenly ship, and the ancient overlords without hesitation, rapidly flew toward the jade arm at a speed visible to the naked eye. As it approached the jade arm, the vast serpent's body violently shrank at an unbelievable speed. It shrank rapidly. When it appeared in front of the jade arm, the vast void serpent had strangely shrunk into a small serpent only a few inches long. Crack! Her jade-like hand grabbed the void serpent and clenched her fingers. The sound of bones breaking could be heard, followed by a cry of despair. The void serpent was crushed without any resistance. A thick mist of blood burst out from between her fingers, but in the blink of an eye, a strong suction force was emitted from her jade-like arm. The void serpent's vast flesh and blood essence was devoured by the jade arm on the spot. The jade light on the jade arm became even more crystalline and mystical. Countless tiny meridians could be clearly seen shuttling continuously, distributed throughout every inch of flesh and blood, revealing a perfect charm. A strange pitch-black crystal appeared in her hand. The crystal was formed by countless hexagons. On its surface, one could see countless voids disappearing and countless spaces being born. It was extremely profound. If one looked at it for a few more times, even one's mind would feel like it was being sucked in. Void crystal! Countless cries of surprise rang out at the same time as pairs of blazing eyes stared at the pitch-black crystal. However, the intense desire to possess it was forcefully suppressed. No one dared to make the slightest move. Rumble! Above the illusory void island, the void shook violently and collapsed. Another crystal ice coffin broke through the cracks in the void and arrived. The moment the ice coffin appeared, it emitted an oppressive might that caused the surrounding space to collapse on its own. Countless scenes of calamity appeared. The void collapsed and black holes formed. Chaotic space blade. Inside the ice coffin, a cold head could be seen. Furthermore, not only was there a head inside, there was also a right arm inside the ice coffin. Left arm, return! A cold voice came from the newly appeared ice coffin. As soon as the voice came out, the entire endless void could not help but stop moving. Even the meteorites that were breaking through the void strangely stopped, as if they were listening to the instructions of some supreme existence. Rumble! The crystal ice coffin that originally contained the left arm suddenly collided with the sky coffin. The two identical ice coffins collided in an instant. However, the strange thing was that the moment the two ice coffins touched each other, they miraculously fused together like two droplets of water. They fused together into a new heavenly crystal coffin. The patterns on the surface of the crystal coffin grew denser and denser, as if they had a life of their own. The strange Taoist rhymes became clearer and clearer, and seemed to carry with them an ancient aura. Swish! The left arm that held the void crystal transformed into a beam of light that shot into the crystal coffin. Demon folk! The head in the heavenly coffin opened its eyes and glanced over at Demon City. When it saw Di Shirtian, it paused for a moment as if trying to recall something. Whoosh! A pitch-black stream of light shot out from the heavenly coffin, breaking through the void and directly entering the demon city. The heavenly crystal coffin trembled slightly. Instantly, the surrounding space was destroyed inch by inch. The heavenly crystal coffin drilled into the crack and disappeared in the blink of an eye. From the moment the jade arm crushed the void serpent to the moment the heavenly coffin appeared in the Bedlam lands, and then the two coffins fused together. All of this happened in the space of a few breaths of time. It was so fast that the All Heavens cultivators didn't even have time to react before the crystal coffin shot through the air. Good heavens! What was sealed inside that crystal coffin? It was so terrifying. That void serpent was crushed so easily by a severed arm. That's even more terrifying than some of the most powerful experts in the world. What a terrifying aura! Just one arm is enough to make me feel breathless. How terrifying! One head, two arms. Heavens, could it be that this existence was actually divided into 6 parts by someone and sealed in each of them? Just a single arm is already as powerful as some of the most powerful experts in the world. How terrifying would it be if all of the sealed bodies fused together? What a scam! I've never heard of anyone being severed and sealed in the ancient times. Just who is this person? Countless cultivators were in an uproar. All sorts of discussions resounded in the void. The originally oppressive atmosphere immediately dissipated slightly. When the heavenly coffin left, I saw a beam of black light enter Demon City. That black light seems to be a void crystal. Could it be that she's related to the demon folk? Could it be that she's an ancient demon folk? A sharp-eyed cultivator cried out. They all looked at Demon City with unfriendly gazes. The void crystal is the essence of the void serpent. It's said to be a supreme treasure in the world. It's said that if it fuses with the ancient city or the battle island, it'll create countless dimensions in the ancient city. Moreover, they'll be extremely stable. Even a supreme divine artifact will be greatly strengthened. Buzz. Demon City trembled violently. The void crystal appeared above the Imperial Jade Archive. Countless fragments of spatial laws poured into the archive like a tide. The spatial talismans, which had been growing slowly, were growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. At the same time, the well of demons and gods in the ancient city burst forth with rainbow-colored light. Inside, countless spatial fragments were constantly emerging. A large number of spaces were born at an unbelievable speed, merging into every inch of the ancient city. Hundreds and thousands of spaces of various sizes were born in almost every breath of time. As a result, the demon city's structure became extremely stable and powerful. Haha, the existence in the crystal heavenly coffin seems to be close to us demon folk. It actually fused such a precious void crystal into Demon City. This is an opportunity. With the void crystal, the spatial talismans, which may not be completed even after thousands of years, will definitely be completed in a short time. Dark laughed wildly in excitement. Space and time had always been the foundation of heaven and earth. They were the most difficult talismans to complete. Now that there was such a good opportunity, how could he not laugh? The demon folk want to defy the heavens. You've just become a supreme. Today, I'll smash Demon City into pieces and completely destroy the foundation of the demon folk. I'll make the demon folk lose all hope. Rumble. A cold laugh came from the thousand-sword green lotus. The green lotus trembled violently and spun continuously. As the vast green lotus spun, the surrounding void was obliterated on the spot like a huge grindstone. Vast amounts of heaven and earth essence chi were plundered into the green lotus like a tide. Countless lotus petals fell from the green lotus and danced in the sky. They gathered together to form green lotuses that were 100 feet in size. The green lotuses were solid. As they spun, they cut through the void. Countless violent sword chi was brewing inside. Strands of terrifying power that could destroy the heavens and the earth spread out. Numerous green lotuses appeared one after another in an endless stream, whistling as they condensed together like a tidal wave. In the blink of an eye, the sky above Void Illusory Island was densely covered with countless green lotuses. Green lotus destroys the world! A cold shout came from the 10,000-sword green lotus. Suddenly, the green lotuses filled the sky and rushed toward Demon City like a tide. The aura emitted by each green lotus was so strong that even ancient giants would be smashed into pieces on the spot. If these tens of thousands of green lotuses attacked together, it would not be an exaggeration to say that it would destroy heaven and earth. The purpose of this attack was to completely destroy the Thousand Demon City. To destroy the foundation of the demon folk. The supreme artifact finally showed its murderous side. The humans have indeed made up their minds to kill. Demon Lord, we can't wait any longer. We must stop them immediately. Know-it-all narrowed his eyes, and there seemed to be a terrifying flash of light. No matter what, the foundation of the demon race could not be lost. Ha ha! Suddenly, just as the Demon Lord was about to stand up and attack, a burst of laughter filled with the majesty of an emperor rushed into the sky like a wave. The Demon Lord couldn't help but stop his movements. Boom! Tion let out a burst of sonorous and powerful laughter. His voice was filled with endless pressure, coldness, and blood. All of a sudden, he stood up from his throne. This stand-up was like the first ray of light before dawn. It was also like a sleeping giant that had suddenly awakened. It was like a long snake that had suddenly transformed into a vast divine dragon. Almost in an instant, it seemed that all the light and glory in the world had gathered on his body. Good. Good. Very good. Since I dared to brazenly set up a trap on Void Illusory Island, how could I not expect the appearance of the 10 supreme artifacts of the human race? If I didn't have a backup plan, I wouldn't have gone against you. Today, I will let all the worlds know that the 100 races have returned, and the demon race is the leader. Tian's voice was like thunder. His body was overflowing with vast divine might and confidence. If you want to know what will happen, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 841. From the beginning, Tian had been constantly calculating. This plan was almost an open one. There was only one purpose, and that was to announce the return of the demon clan to the universe. Naturally, he would not have thought of this. In the universe, there were many rising forces that did not want the demon clan to return. It could be said that there were many existences. Luring them out was for one purpose, and killing them was the best goal to show the power of the demon clan to the universe. Of course, how could he leave out the human clan who had a blood feud with the demon clan? He had long expected that the 10 great immortal sects of the human clan would never sit back and watch the rise of the demon clan. They would definitely use a sure-kill move against the Thousand Demon City at the critical moment, and the most likely reason for this move would be the 10 supreme grade divine artifacts. The human clan had calculated well. They knew that even if the Demon City was promoted to the supreme artifact level, it must have just stepped into it. The city was not stable, and could not be compared with the artifacts that the 10 great immortal sects had been refining for countless years. At that time, the strong would bully the weak and crush the demon city in one fell swoop. However, since Tian had guessed it, how could he not have a backup plan? How could he still be so confident now and not have the slightest intention of escaping when he saw the 1,000-sword green lotus and the eternal kingdom? No, wait, this D-brat seems to have a backup plan. Let's see what kind of trump card he is hiding. The know-it-all reached out and grabbed the demon lord, looking outside with a strange light in his eyes. In his impression, Tian had never done anything without confidence. Since he dared to say so, he must have a killer's sword in his hands that could really turn the situation around. The 1,000-sword green lotus is a supreme artifact, not the half-baked demon city. If there is any accident, this ancient city and hundreds of millions of demon clan will be destroyed. The demon lord frowned slightly. Look down, the know-it-all said in a deep voice. Husband! Katomi's two jade-like hands subconsciously clenched together. Because of too much force, her fingers faintly turned white. Two eyes, unblinking, looked at the figure who looked down at the sky. Tian Can, Huang Quan. Pour all of your power into my body without reservation. Lend your power to I as you command. 100,000 blood kill guards, listen up. Inject all the energy in your body into I. Di Shi Tian opened his mouth and issued an order. We obey your majesty's orders. When Tian Can, Huang Quan, and the 100,000 blood-killing guards gathered in the ancient city and the 18 blood-killing generals heard the imperial edict, a cold and ruthless expression involuntarily flashed across their faces. Between his eyebrows, the vertical mark flickered, and an inexplicable connection appeared between them. It was as if, in an instant, heavenly silkworm Huang Quan and the 100,000 bloody killing guards had completely removed all barriers and become one with Di Shi Tian. Vast energy flowed from the blood-killing guards' bodies into Di Shi Tian's body through a mysterious connection. On the spot, this enormous and pure energy swiftly circulated within his meridians. Without the slightest bit of difficulty, it transformed into waves of Emperor True Force and gushed into the Grade 11 Black Lotus within the Demon Palace. Immediately, the Grade 11 Black Lotus began to frantically revolve at an unimaginable speed. The Huangji True Force in the originally empty Black Lotus expanded like never before. In the blink of an eye, the Black Lotus was filled with the viscous Huangji True Force. In an instant, it broke through all restraints and transformed into a 12th grade Black Lotus with a bang. That was not all. The energy that poured in from outside was like a tide, endless and unending. Wave after wave. The speed of the Black Lotus's rotation broke through the limit again and again. Suddenly, the Black Lotus transformed into a 13th grade Black Lotus. Rumble! The void outside Di Shi Tian's body was constantly disappearing on its own. The vast pressure seemed to be rising crazily without any limit. Although his figure did not grow, in the eyes of the all-heavens cultivators, he was like a towering mountain, constantly climbing up. They were like ants at the foot of the mountain. When they looked up, they could not see the end of it. A feeling of insignificance quickly grew in the bottom of their hearts. He pointed at the endless void. I want to rival a sovereign. Rumble! As soon as his voice fell, hundreds of millions of lightning bolts appeared out of nowhere in the endless void. They violently collided with each other, erupting with a terrifying roar of thunder. It was dark and oppressive, as if doomsday had arrived. The power of the lightning bolts made Di Shi Tian's aura even more powerful than before. A sovereign! A sovereign! I want to rival a sovereign. His words echoed in the void. The meaning behind them was enough to make the all-heavens cultivators feel like their guts were about to burst. His voice carried with it a terrifying aura that seemed to command the all-heavens. What was a sovereign? He was the pinnacle of existence in the world and even in the primal chaos realm. He was a supreme existence that could truly rule over all things in the world. He was immortal and indestructible. The power of 100,000 bloodbath guards gathered in his body. That powerful force made Di Shi Tian feel like he could control the cycle of the sun and moon, and the operation of all things in the world. With a thought, he could cause the collapse of all worlds. With a glance, he could kill an ancient powerhouse. When he looked up, he could see a vast river in the void. Countless fates intertwined in the river. Scram! Di Shi Tian coldly swept his gaze over the countless green lotuses rolling toward him. He didn't even raise his hand as he spat out a single word. Rumble! Scram! 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 This voice reverberated through the entire void. Terrifying gusts of wind swept up from the ground. In an instant, the green lotuses filled with destructive sword chi were swept back toward the myriad green lotus like they were feathers. They slammed into the lotus. Billions of terrifying green lotus sword chi rained down on the green lotus of 10,000 swords, slicing through the surrounding space and destroying it. The entire lotus was blasted back repeatedly. The myriad green lotus trembled violently. Impossible! A cry of disbelief came from within the green lotus. Humph! A cold snort came from Sakra's nose. Along with the cold snort, a stream of air spurted out from his nose. In an instant it became incomparably tyrannical and terrifying. Like a tornado, the pitch-black hurricane directly rushed towards the myriad sword azure lotus. Rumble! Under the snort, the myriad green lotus emitted countless green lotus sword chi, trying to break out of the hurricane. Countless lotus petals were destroyed, but the pitch-black hurricane swept the green lotus and blew it into the distance. In the wind, the green lotus was like a broken kite. It spun and rolled, colliding with meteorites. In the blink of an eye, it was blown away without a trace. It didn't even have the strength to resist and was blown away by a nasal sound. Eternal kingdom? I'll make you eternal! Di-Shir-Tian stretched out a finger and poked at the eternal kingdom that was suspended in midair. His finger suddenly became abnormally huge. When it broke through the void, it didn't cause any abnormalities in the void below it. It was as if it didn't have a trace of power. It appeared in front of the 9 eternal divine lights outside the eternal kingdom. Boom, boom, boom. Before the finger, the seemingly everlasting divine lights did not even have the slightest bit of resistance. They were pierced through on the spot. Furthermore, the divine lights were shattered one after the other. His finger slammed into the kingdom of eternity, piercing through it from the top to the bottom. When it pierced through the eternal kingdom, countless spaces in the eternal kingdom instantly collapsed. Countless living beings in the eternal kingdom were instantly turned into a bloody mist. The entire country of eternity collapsed violently under this terrifying force. A finger pierced through the endless void. It seemed that there was no way to resist. Hiss! This scene was like the end of the world in the eyes of the all-heavens cultivators. They were all dumbfounded and the void was filled with terrifying gasps. This is a demon emperor? A supreme divine artifact. That's a supreme divine artifact. A divine artifact that can even contend against a peerless expert. Am I blind? The myriad sword azure lotus was actually blown away by a breath of air from the demon emperor's nose? Even the eternal kingdom was pierced through on the spot by a finger. Damn it, when did the demon emperor have such shocking battle strength? Did he really have the heaven-defying battle strength of a ruler when he said that he was comparable to one? My goodness, this is the demon emperor's true trump card. I remember that the demon emperor had displayed his peerless combat strength in the Million Treasures Crimson Tide. I didn't expect him to have such a terrifying increase in strength here. Could it be some kind of unparalleled secret technique? Ruler comparable to a ruler. With the demon emperor, who can stop the rise of the demon race. With just a wave of his hand, 2 supreme divine weapons were defeated on the spot. The demon emperor has such heaven-defying battle strength. Could it be that he can destroy the 10 supreme divine weapons? Fierce. This could no longer be described as fierce. In front of the eternal kingdom, even an unparalleled expert would be secretly frightened and wouldn't dare to have any thoughts of competing. However, such supreme divine weapons were pierced through the endless void by Di-Shir-Tian's finger. Countless living beings were stabbed to death. At this moment, Di-Shir-Tian was truly the supreme ruler of the heavens and the cycle of reincarnation, the supreme ruler of all things. For a moment, the heavens and earth fell silent as countless pairs of respectful eyes fell on Di-Shir-Tian. Who dared to defy the emperor's might? What a demon emperor! The know-it-all narrowed his eyes and cried out. He actually hid such a shocking trump card. To be able to raise his cultivation to such an earth-shattering level in an instant, even in the ancient times, only the emperor of the underworld could do this. Could he have obtained the emperor of the underworld's inheritance and cultivated the 100 generations slave seal? With this attack, the demon race can successfully return to the purple-gold continent and intimidate the other realms. However, I have to do my duty, so I have to give the order. Before the annihilation tide, no one who surpasses the ancient powerhouses is allowed to make a move. The other realms won't be able to withstand it. The demon lord quietly waited for Di Shurtion to send the 10,000 green sword lotus and the eternal kingdom hundreds of millions of miles away. After a moment of silence, he spoke. A light flashed in his hand, and a pitch-black square token suddenly appeared. Tomorrow is a new week. If you have recommendations, please help me push it up. Also, if you are reading DT on other websites, please return to Qidien to submit a recommendation. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.qidien.com. There are more chapters. Support the author and support the original reading. Chapter 842. It's a new week. If you have a recommendation vote, please help me throw in a few votes and push it up. There were countless mysterious runes on this token, and it had two sides. On the front side, there was a token formed from the divine text of the Great Tao, and on the back side, there was a pitch-black demon character. At first glance, this token looked like an ordinary iron token. However, if one looked at it more closely, they would find that it had a profound Tao rhyme to it. When one looked at it again and again, one could vaguely sense the supreme Great Tao. Whoosh! This medallion was none other than the legendary Sovereign's medallion. Moreover, it represented the demon lord of the three sovereigns. The sovereign medallion turned into a streak of light and flew out of the demon lord's hand. In the blink of an eye, it appeared above the illusory island. The simple medallion spun in the air. Look, there's a medallion. A sharp-eyed cultivator immediately spotted the medallion. Where did this medallion come from? Now is the time when the demon emperor is invincible. Could it be that it's provoking the demon emperor? After the medallion appeared, it suddenly emitted a dazzling black divine light that wasn't blinding to the eyes. A vast pressure suddenly erupted from the medallion. It wasn't domineering, nor was it as strong as it appeared on the surface. But wherever it went, all the cultivators in the heavens, even the most ancient powerhouses, couldn't help but tremble in awe and reverence from the depths of their souls. It was as if they'd suddenly seen their ancestors. They couldn't help but bow respectfully in the direction of the medallion. The origin continent has given birth to countless worlds. The development of all living beings in the heavens cannot be stopped. Peerless experts are not allowed to act unless absolutely necessary. Sovereign artifacts are comparable to peerless experts. Unless absolutely necessary, the power of the divine artifact itself is not allowed. Before the tide of annihilation, the prohibition is eternal. Anyone who isn't a sovereign can be imprisoned by the sovereign medallion. Those who become sovereigns in the myriad demon city are subject to the prohibition. Unless absolutely necessary, they are not allowed to use combat strength beyond the peak of the peerless sovereign level. Those who violate this will be punished. A voice filled with boundless majesty, like the great Tao, was clearly spoken from the sovereign medallion. In the blink of an eye, it quickly covered every inch of the void. It penetrated deep into the souls of every living being. It was deeply imprinted in her mind, and she would never forget it again. Under the sovereign's order, he was as insignificant as an ant. The ruler's order, that's the legendary ruler's order. Under the ruler's order, no peerless expert is allowed to attack as they please. If they do, they will be punished by the ruler's order. Rumor has it that 2 peerless experts were imprisoned by the sovereign's order. Beneath the sovereign lord, any expert must obey. Now, even the demon emperor could forget about showing off his might. His 1,000 demon cities' power will be restricted just like the 10 supreme divine artifacts. Looks like this battle is about to end. Once the sovereign seal is out, who would dare to make a move? Countless cultivators raised their heads and looked at the pitch-black ruler's token as if they were looking at a mountain. Although the token was only a few inches long, it had a charm that made people unable to resist. Ha ha! A burst of wild laughter burst out. The evil king, Haitong, was sitting on the Avicii throne. He laughed arrogantly and looked at Sakra fearlessly. He shouted, "Sakra, the ruler's token has appeared. Your demon city can forget about releasing the power of a supreme divine weapon. Let's see how you're going to kill me now. Do you dare to attack me? Let me tell you, I'm about to head to the Avicii major world to inherit the Avicii demonic path. When I master the demonic art, it will be the day of your death." He was sure that Di Shirtian would be restricted by the ruler's order and would not be able to attack, so he shouted even more wildly. He was extremely provocative. He looked as if he was the most powerful being in the world. All of a sudden, he was no longer afraid. Indra raised his eyes to look at the sovereign's token that was hanging above his head. From this token, he could feel an extremely terrifying and dangerous aura. He faintly sensed that if this token were to smash down, it could possibly cause countless terrifying cracks to appear on the supreme divine artifact, the demon city. It contained a mighty power that could defy heaven and earth. If it was a peerless expert, they would not be able to contend against it. Moreover, there seemed to be another mysterious world inside the ruler's token. There seemed to be many terrifying existences imprisoned inside. Originally, when the ruler's token appeared, Di Shirtian was also considering whether he should take advantage of the situation and use the power of the ruler's token to end the battle. However, when he heard Haitong's disgusted voice, he couldn't help but slightly raise his eyebrows. Without any hesitation, his right hand grabbed at the sinless city that was hundreds of thousands of feet away. A gigantic palm appeared in the sky above Sinless City. It blotted out the sky and covered the entire city as it rushed towards the ancient city. "No, how dare you attack me? Are you not afraid of the ruler's token's punishment? Are you going to be imprisoned forever? Where is the ruler's token? This monster has violated the rules." Black Pupil's face that was originally laughing wildly suddenly turned red, as if he was constipated. He looked at the huge palm that covered the sky and the sun. In an instant, he felt as if he was a mortal facing a terrifying mountain falling down on him. A deep sense of powerlessness gave birth to endless fear in his heart. The demon monarch stood on the amethyst bamboo boat and glanced at Black Pupil. He suddenly turned around and grabbed a jar of spirit wine, gulping it down in one go. He turned around and said, "This monarch is drunk, I didn't hear you." When Qin Buchuan saw this, he almost fell to the ground. It turned out that the demon monarch was also a strange person. "Humph! I am now comparable to a ruler. The ruler's token can't be used on me for the time being. You dare to clamor with me? I will crush you first." The huge palm landed on the sinless city and squeezed fiercely. His finger could pierce through the eternal kingdom, and a sneeze could blow away the myriad sword green lotus. With this squeeze, the sinless city, which was only at the peak of the supreme level, almost exploded on the spot. Black Pupil was squeezed into a bloody mist. Sinless city, boundless evil, merge I into the myriad demon city and complete the grand Tao. Grab, grab, grab. Di Shirtian grabbed all the fragments in his hand and merged them into the myriad demon city. The sinless city could be said to be the capital of evil. It was filled with endless evil. In the Black Fiend Great World, it was the source of evil. The origin energy source inside was a blood pool of evil. These were all supreme treasures. However, Di Shirtian was not stingy and sent all of them into the Imperial Jade Archive. The evil talisman in the Jade Archive quickly absorbed the evil intent and law fragments, constantly mending the talisman. The supreme level existence was really a great supplement. In the blink of an eye, the evil talisman in the Jade Archive was quickly completed. Countless terrifying evil chains appeared in the talisman. A large number of evil Tao patterns were strangely branded in the myriad demon city. In addition, the entire sinless city was merged into the ancient city, causing it to become even stronger. There were faint signs of advancing to the peak of the initial stage of the supreme level. Not good, the demon monarch is going crazy. He actually ignored the prohibition of the ruler's token. Quickly run, no one is his match now. When the All Heavens cultivators saw this scene, they were so shocked that their faces changed completely. A gentleman does not stand under a collapsing wall. Freedom King's expression changed. He waved the feather fan in his hand and turned around, wanting to break through the void and escape. The demon monarch is indeed unparalleled. He will definitely occupy a high position when the 3 rolls and 1 chart reopens. Fate King, child of Fate Tai Xian, also changed his expression. Even the circulation of fate was a little shaky. Damn it, this is too big. Retreat! Great Freedom Demon Venerable was the most agile and was the first to escape. Freedom King, Great Freedom Demon Venerable, come back to me. Di Shirtian stretched out his hand and grabbed at the 2 of them in the air. The terrifying power sealed the void on the spot. Rumble! At this moment, his combat strength and divine ability had simply reached a level that could shock the heavens and the earth and make ghosts and gods weep. He grabbed at the air, and even the void was torn and shackled as it was pulled back. However, just as they were about to fly to his side, 2 pitch-black demonic gates suddenly descended from the void with a bang. It shattered the void. Boundless demon chi burst out, and the gate was extremely deep. It rippled with a strange devouring power and sucked Freedom King and Great Freedom Demon Venerable into it. Ancient Demon Gate? Courting death. Di Shirtian flicked his finger, and the 2 ancient demon gates were immediately hit by boundless attacks. At a speed visible to the naked eye, cracks that looked like a spiderweb started to form. Suddenly, they shattered into millions of tiny fragments. However, those fragments strangely turned into demonic chi and disappeared in an instant. That was the projection of the ancient demon gate. The ancient demon gate has indeed entered the origin source world and is hiding in the myriad worlds. 7 Knights Demon Venerable, we will meet again. Di Shirtian's deep gaze suddenly looked at a hidden void. After a long while, he retracted his gaze. Ding! At this moment, the ruler's token that was hanging in midair let out a crisp sound. On the token, countless mysterious Tao runes started to move as though they were alive. A formless pressure descended from the sky and landed on Di Shirtian's head. Rumble! The void above his head was destroyed inch by inch. That vast pressure fell on his mind like a mountain. At this moment, Di Shirtian felt as though there were millions of mountains on his body. It was abnormally heavy. Even the undying body on his body was trembling violently. Countless muscles squirmed. His divine soul was trembling. It was as though if he made any movement, he would immediately be met with a terrifying calamity. The ruler's token seemed to be brewing a terrifying aura of misfortune. Facing that aura of misfortune, even the undying body showed signs of wariness and fear. Di Shirtian took a deep breath, looked up at the ruler's token, and said slowly, "As long as you don't provoke I won't do anything today." When the ruler's token heard this, it turned into a stream of light and disappeared. In the blink of an eye, it silently appeared in the demon lord's hand. Know-it-all looked at the demon lord strangely and said with a smile, "Demon lord, have you sobered up?" The demon lord sat up straight and carefully put away the ruler's token. He glanced at it coldly and said, "I just woke up." To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com to read more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 843. As expected, I didn't misjudge you. You can hold your liquor better than me. The know-it-all grinned. He paused and looked up at the void. On the illusory void island, the demon city stood out, exuding a vast divine might that suppressed the surroundings. Countless cultivators in the surrounding heavens were terrified and did not dare to make the slightest move. He said, "The demon emperor's move this time has deterred the heavens. It seems that no one will be blind enough to attack the demon city again. This battle is about to come to an end. However, presumably, after today, the demon king of the demon clan will be remembered in all the heavens. They will remember the demon city that shocked all directions. Little D has achieved his goal." If the battle in front of them was spread out, with the shocking news of the 10,000 fiend city breaking through countless islands and warships, and the shocking news of the 10,000 fiend city becoming a supreme divine weapon, the restless desires of countless factions would be quelled temporarily. In particular, D. Shirtian's terrifying battle strength that easily destroyed 2 supreme divine artifacts would definitely shock some peerless expert. The 1,000-sword Green Lotus and the Country of Eternity will suffer this time. Little D didn't lose himself under the temporary great power. The know-it-all nodded with relief. "Ling Long Celestial Island," the Demon King suddenly said. "Ling Long Celestial Island is the most important remaining branch of the ancient demon clan. Originally, I wanted to save Little D and return to the demon clan when he couldn't hold on anymore, even if it was exposed. Now it seems that I should continue to lurk outside. You can't put all your eggs in one basket." The know-it-all looked to the east. The Ling Long Celestial Island suddenly shook, and countless auspicious clouds surrounded it kept retreating. It had no intention of meeting the demon city. "Let's leave too. I didn't expect the demon god continent to have already reached the heavens." The know-it-all shook his head and seemed to sigh with emotion. In the sky above the demon city, D. Shirtian sat on the throne in a dignified manner, naturally exuding an endless amount of pressure. "Lunatic D, you can only use this ability 3 times in your life. If you use it more than 3 times, even your soul will collapse. You already used it once in the Godfall Abyss, so this is the 2nd time. With the help of the Blood Kill Guards, you have the battle prowess of a sovereign. Although the time is short, with your battle prowess, you may be able to destroy the myriad sword Lotus and the Kingdom of Eternity. Why did you stop at the end?" Dark roared at Indra in his mind, full of doubts. 3 chances, it only had 3 chances in its life, and it was unwilling to waste one of them. How could I let them go so easily? Although I only blew a breath of air and stretched out a finger, sending them out of the boundless void might not necessarily mean returning to the purple gold continent. They must be very happy now. D. Shirtian smiled meaningfully. His eyes seemed to be able to see through the void and see the mysterious forbidden areas. Destroy the Kingdom of Eternity and the myriad sword Lotus? How could D. Shirtian not have thought of this? However, if he really wanted to kill the Kingdom of Eternity and the myriad sword Lotus, not to mention the fact that the Kingdom of Eternity was so easy to destroy as a veteran supreme artifact, how could it not have a killing move? Especially the Kingdom of Eternity, which had been promoted to the peak supreme grade. If the Yuan Qi source within self-destructed, the power would be so strong that even the illusory island would be blown to pieces on the spot. Moreover, this would cause the entire human race to unite against a common enemy. With so many experts, even the Sovereign's order would not be able to restrain them. If they fought, the demon city would probably be smashed into pieces given its incomplete state. More importantly, although it was comparable to a sovereign, this power did not belong to him. Every time it was consumed, it would be consumed and could not be recovered. With his current demonic body, he could only maintain this battle strength for 2 to 4 hours at most. When the time was up, all the power that did not belong to him would dissipate. At that time, if he did not have the battle strength comparable to a sovereign, how could he face the entire human race? Although the purpose this time was to let out a cry to the entire universe, announcing the return of the demon race and using a little means to intimidate the universe, as long as the means were not too ruthless, it would make the universe wary and not dare to act rashly in the short term. This involved a certain degree of control. If it went too far, it would cause a strong backlash from the universe. If it was too weak, it would make the universe think that the demon race was easy to bully. This was the problem of degree. Just now, this was the real reason why Sakura had wasted the only 3 chances in his life and resolutely used the becoming god in wedding clothes to break the 2 supreme artifacts in one fell swoop, but didn't destroy them with his own hands. The demon race needed time. He was buying time for the demon race. As long as there was time, with the land of exile as a backing, the rise of the demon race was not a delusion. He needed time. He needed time to go to the Tong Tian Tower to find the Tian Peng secret mirror and the demon summoning banner. He needed time to go to the 9 great forbidden grounds and the Heaven Gate forbidden grounds to find the 4 gates of heaven. He needed time to enter the forbidden grounds to find the forbidden red lotus. As long as he could get a breather, what was a mere chance? I knew that lunatic D was definitely not a kind person. Ming had followed him for so many years and had a deep understanding of him. When he heard his words, he immediately faintly sensed the hidden meaning behind them and could not help but laugh a few times. All demons, listen up. Lift the city seal order and open the heaven gate. The dragon race, the star race, the Li race, and other friendly races that have not blocked the attacks of the demon race before can enter the city for a meeting. The Jade Lake flat peaches have matured. I will hold a flat peach banquet in a year's time at the Jade Lake. All races can come. Di Shirtian looked around the void and said calmly. Although his voice was not loud, it was full of pressure and had a strange penetrating power that was transmitted to the universe. Flat peach banquet. Years ago, he had obtained the sapling of the flat peach tree in the fallen god Abyss and planted it in the flat peach garden. Under the careful care of Baisusu, with the help of the living soil of 9 heavens, the flat peach tree grew at an incredible speed. With the help of the energy absorbed from the money tree and the treasure bowl, this flat peach tree not only blossomed and bore fruit in a short period of time. Moreover, after the vital qi in the ancient city transformed into innate vital qi, the number of flat peaches on the tree grew at an incredible speed. Now all of them had matured. Every single one of them was beautiful and alluring. The first time it bore fruit, there were 3,000 flat peaches on the tree. Flat peach banquet? Good. The dragon race will definitely attend the banquet in a year's time. A burst of laughter came from the Crystal Palace. In the blink of an eye, it broke through the sky and left. How can we not attend the Demon King's invitation? The star race will attend the flat peach banquet in a year's time. The 9 stars aligned. 9 stars were shrouded in dazzling starlight. Just like when they appeared, they disappeared mysteriously. The 9 stars aligned had the power to travel through time and space. The Sky Incense Valley will definitely attend the banquet. In the void, a clear and melodious voice came from the picture scroll with countless beautiful women. This picture scroll had previously involved a large number of cultivators attacking the demon city. Exhilarating, why don't you go in and meet the Demon King? Inside the purple bamboo boat, the know-it-all and the Demon King had already left. Qin Buchuan and Katomi stood together. They looked at Katomi's figure calmly looking at the demon city, and sighed slightly. No need. Katomi was silent for a while and said slowly, I am now in charge of the Green Jade Zither. I have to take responsibility for suppressing demons. This time I have been out for too long. If I delay any longer, I am afraid that the seal of the crippled blood demon Venerable will become unstable. Moreover, I believe that Sher Tian already knows that I have been here. This is enough. There seemed to be a trace of struggle in her eyes. 100 years. She must guard the seal for 100 years. The power of the seal came from the Green Jade Zither. She could not leave the seal for too long. Once there was a problem with the seal, the first to bear the brunt would be the Qin clan. Then, it would be the entire purple gold continent. The crippled blood demon Venerable was infamous. In the ancient times, even peerless experts could not destroy him. They could only seal him. The number of peerless experts that died in his hands could not be counted with two hands. Gone. She did not dare to see him. She was afraid. Afraid that the moment she stood in front of Chertion, she would not have the courage to leave. Let's go. Katomi closed her eyes and said, Sigh, it has been hard on you. 1 year later, third uncle will take charge and bring you to the Jade Lake banquet. Even if I have to throw away my old face, I will settle your relationship with D. The demon empress has a master. However, with your status, how can you not be the demon concubine? Qin Buchuan's elegant face carried a trace of determination. Katomi! The moment the purple bamboo boat left, Chertion's gaze fell on it. It was abnormally deep with a trace of indescribable emotions. After a long time, he murmured, Madman D, the Qin clan's girl is infatuated with you and is loyal to you. With your current status, even if you marry her, what's the problem? You should know that all experts have many wives and concubines. Don't let her down. Moreover, she has the Qin clan behind her. If you marry her, you will have the support of the entire Qin clan. This is such a good thing. Why are you hesitating? Ming shook his head and reminded. He looked as if he could not bear to see it. I have my own plans. Chertion shook his head and muttered. How could he not have feelings for Katomi? However, he had always been focused on increasing his strength. He had spent countless efforts for the rise of the demon clan. He could not divert his attention to other things. Rumble! The demon city shone with dazzling divine light. In the core of the void, the ultimate Emperor Jade Archive spun at a constant speed, emitting a strong suction force. It continued to absorb the countless spatial faults in the illusory island. A large amount of space was directly plundered and integrated into the ancient city. Every inch of the ancient city contained different spatial barriers. A total of 129,600 spatial barriers were created. They were distributed throughout the ancient city. To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidian.com and read more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 844. And in the ancient city, once 129,600 spaces were born. No matter how many spatial faults were extracted from the illusory island, it was impossible to increase the number of spaces by even one. This was the limit of the number of spaces that could be born in 1 yuan. However, the spatial faults that they had plundered from the illusory void island were also constantly being integrated into the 129,600 spaces. These spaces were called eternal sands spaces. It meant that there were as many spaces as the sands of the Ganges. Each of these spaces was a newly born space. There were differences in each space. Some were big and some were small. Because of the emphasis on the pneuma, there were also differences. Some were heavy on death and dead spirits, some were heavy on life, and some were heavy on water. The pneuma of water was abundant, and it was suitable for the growth of aquatic creatures. Some were filled with fire vitality, which gave birth to volcanoes, suitable for the reproduction of fire elemental creatures, and so on. However, due to the birth of these eternal sand spaces, no life was born in them. Even the spaces were quite primitive, and there was no possibility of life being born in them. However, with the Emperor's Jade Archive, the 3,000 great Daos gave birth to all kinds of different kinds of qi. Moreover, it was Xiantian qi. The chaos bead was connected to the chaos world. Once the vast chaos qi entered the Emperor's Jade Archive, it was broken down into 3,000 different kinds of qi and poured into the new world. Immediately, the barren space was filled with vital energy. Moreover, the innate vitality quickly nourished the various eternal sand spaces, making the soil fertile and green grass grow. Mountains and lakes appeared. The spatial fragments plundered from the illusory island of nothingness continued to merge with the eternal sand spaces, causing each eternal sand space to grow and expand. Some of the plundered spatial fragments contained living creatures, such as forests and plants. They were also integrated, bringing vitality to the barren spaces. Many birds and beasts were also released into the various eternal sand spaces, giving them ample space to grow and reproduce. The talismans of the Great Path of Fire formed projections in the various eternal sand spaces, condensing into fiery red little suns. The vast demon city hung above the illusory island, constantly plundering the various spaces. At the same time, the Ultimate Emperor's Jade Archive was constantly refining and absorbing the spatial laws contained in the void crystals. However, the absorption speed was unusually slow. However, the space talismans were still slowly growing and filling up. They had already reached 60%. Haha, Lunatic D, you've really struck it rich this time. He had actually used battle to nurture battle, replenishing so many of the great Tao talismans in the Huangji Jade Archive. There were a total of 10 of them. 10 great Tao talismans had reached perfection. This was a breakthrough. I'm afraid such a good thing won't happen again in the future. Ming seemed to be very excited. In the Huangji Jade Archive, there were now a total of 10 complete great Tao talismans. They were the Poison Talisman, the Emperor Talisman, the Metal Talisman, the Wood Talisman, the Water Talisman, the Fire Talisman, the Ice Talisman, the Wind Talisman, the Sin Talisman, and the Thunder Talisman. Moreover, once the Spatial Talisman finished absorbing the Void Crystal, it would be perfected. I want to enter the Linglong Treasure Pagoda and assimilate the 9 Heavens Breath soil into the myriad demon city. This is the number 1 divine land under the heavens. It will definitely be able to complete the Earth Talisman recorded in the Jade Archive. I also want to make a trip to the Bedlam lands. There are countless calamities there. I should be able to complete the Calamity Talisman by absorbing the calamities there. But for now, I need to go into secluded cultivation. Di Shirtian didn't lose himself in the boundless power that had rivaled that of a sovereign lord. Although it was powerful, it was impossible to fully control. Being too immersed in it would only do more harm than good. However, this battle had given him many insights, and he wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to absorb them and turn them into his own power. Swish! Sakura, who was sitting on the numinous sky throne, suddenly looked up and saw that the ancient suppressing demon lamp that was originally hanging above the demon city suddenly turned into a stream of light and quickly escaped, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The ancient suppressing demonic lamp flew away. Di Shirtian's pupils constricted. Why do I feel like the lamp's aura is very close to mine? It's like the aura of someone close to me. Could it be that the lamp's owner is related to me by blood? Could it be? A thought flashed through his mind, and he found it hard to believe. My beloved subjects, although we've shaken the world this time, the gate of heaven has been unsealed, and we can't afford to fail in guarding it. I will go into secluded cultivation for now. Mengshi, Hu, and the others will take care of everything in the city. If there's anything you can't decide, you can look for the Demon Empress. Di Shirtian had some guesses as to who the lamp's owner was, but he wasn't too suspicious about the lamp's departure. He believed that if his guess was correct, there had to be a reason. Farewell, Your Majesty. Di Shirtian turned and entered the Linglong Treasure Pagoda to enter secluded cultivation. At the same time, news of what had happened in the illusory Void Islands spread in all directions as the All Heavens cultivators left. Due to the unsealing of the ancient city, the cultivators who were originally trapped in the ancient city sent out countless messages, all kinds of image recording talismans, flying swords, and other means to various places. For a time, all kinds of news spread to the myriad worlds at an unbelievable speed. The Demon Emperor isn't dead. The Tiger Soul Saber on the illusory island was nothing more than a trap. The Demon City has been upgraded to a Paragon God item, and it's terrifying enough to destroy several supreme heavenly boats and battle islands. The third crown prince of the ancient emperor dynasty, Zhu Qingben, was captured and locked in the prison. Unfettered Sage was killed on the spot, and the demon emperor crushed Black Eye, the only son of the wretched Black Patriarch, into a bloody mist. It's terrifying. The kingdom of eternity and the myriad sword Azure Lotus were both thrown out of the void by the demon emperor. It's said that the kingdom of eternity was thrown into the forbidden land of the 9 great forbidden lands. Trapped within the boundless divine restrictions, the 10,000 sword Green Lotus was blown into the Heaven Gate forbidden land and lost within the forbidden land. The demon emperor is really ruthless. A year later, the demon emperor will hold the Immortality Peach Banquet at the Fairy Lake in the Demon City. It's said that the legendary Immortality Peach Tree is in the demon emperor's hands. Eating one of the Immortality Peaches from the Immortality Peach Tree is enough for a mortal to become an immortal emperor in an instant. Moreover, there are no hidden dangers. Even if an expert eats it, they can cleanse the impurities in their body and refine their magic power. For cultivators below the level of ancient overlords, eating one is enough to raise their cultivation by a small level. It's simply a supreme treasure. It's said that the demon emperor has the sacred reincarnation spirit tree. During the banquet, the divine chef clan will personally cook it. It's simply a supreme enjoyment. If you can eat a mouthful, you can comprehend your cultivation level and the grand Tao. The demon city has been upgraded to a paragon god item, and the vitality in the ancient city has transformed into innate vitality. Moreover, it's abnormally abundant. Cultivating in there for a day is equivalent to cultivating outside for 10 days to half a month. It's really a treasure land for cultivation. Almost in a short period of time, all sorts of rumors were spreading. In particular, the news of the Feast of Peaches was quickly spread. Almost all the cultivators were talking about it. The Feast of Peaches of Peaches of Peaches of Peaches was the legendary innate spirit root. Moreover, it was the fruit of the original body, so the peaches that were born from it were even more astonishing. With the addition of the sacred reincarnation spirit tree, the Feast of Peaches, which had not yet begun, became known by everyone in the heavens. Countless cultivators were secretly drooling. Moreover, this feast was undoubtedly an action to display the strength of the demon race to the heavens and make allies. It was foreseeable that this feast would be incomparably lively. The heavenly gate of the demon city opened. When the cultivators in the heavens heard about the scene in the ancient city and the news of the Feast of Peaches, a large number of cultivators rushed into the demon city from all directions. Immediately, the development of the city accelerated. Various shops and guests came in an endless stream. Countless resources and materials poured into the city. Evidently, the 1,000-demon city had become exceptionally prosperous. Rumble! In the black fiend great world, the entire sky was covered by countless pitch-black fiendish thunderbolt. Terrifying lightning shuttled through the clouds in a frenzy. In the deepest part of the sky, a pitch-black palace floated in midair. In the palace, a middle-aged man with a face full of cold killing intent was wearing a black fiendish robe. A pitch-black fiendish cloud condensed above his head and did not dissipate. On the cloud, a pitch-black millstone was spinning. With every revolution, it ground the space under it into fine powder inch by inch. It was filled with a terrifying fiendish power of great destruction. The veins on the millstone intertwined and exuded an earth-shattering fiendish aura. With just a glance, one's spirit would be suppressed and dispersed. Even if one's cultivation was profound, they would still be attacked by the fiendish aura and go completely berserk. One revolution after another, it was as if the world was about to be destroyed. The thunderclouds outside seemed to be the embodiment of the middle-aged man's mood. Tong you've actually died. You actually died at the hands of that brat demon emperor. A cold glint shot out from the middle-aged man's eyes as he said coldly, "Brat demon emperor, if I don't kill you, how can I face my dead child? Damn it, if not for the ruler's token, I would definitely tear you to pieces. I would extract your spirit, whip you day and night, and inflict endless torture on your body." His cold words sent a chill down one's spine. This middle-aged man was the legendary master of the Black Fiend Great World, Black Fiend Patriarch Black Whirlwind. Jade Pool Grand Meeting, Feast of Immortality Peaches? If you want to hold a banquet, I'll let you have an exciting one. It was as if he had said this through gritted teeth. When the time comes, I'll make you cry with a lot of rhythm. The Heavenly Realm. The Heavenly Realm was the most vast great world in the myriad of worlds and was ranked first. Not only was it rich in spiritual energy, it also had countless resources. It could be said to be an important place for the human race. It was unknown how many immortals lived in it. Of course, there was also a large number of mortals. Cities were erected everywhere. Each city could hold millions or even tens of millions of living beings. There were countless such cities in the Heavenly Realm. And in the center of the Heavenly Realm, countless cities surrounded and protected a sacred city in the clouds. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 845. There was a mistake in yesterday's chapter. There should be 11 completed Great Tao talismans. I missed out on the ceiling talisman, so I'll fix it now. I feel a little dizzy today, it's very painful. This holy city was exceptionally majestic and boundless. It was large enough to accommodate hundreds of millions of people living freely in the city. In the sky above, there was a purple sky. In the sky, there were countless purple auspicious clouds formed by the true dragon purple chi. Suddenly, a boundless emperor's aura spread out, causing all the cultivators under the sky to feel like they were being suppressed. It was as if they had walked into someone else's world. The city was bustling with activity. There were almost no ordinary people in the city. All of them were cultivators who had cultivated before. Countless shops and residences were scattered all over the ancient city. The streets were crisscrossed and had a clear hierarchy. On the streets there was an endless stream of people. Countless cultivators entered and exited the shops and restaurants. In the east there was an inner city. In the inner city there was an imperial palace. There were groups of maids in the palace, each of them extremely beautiful. They looked like fairies in the heavenly palace. It was very pleasing to the eye. Palaces and pavilions were arranged in a strange pattern in the imperial palace. It naturally had a solemn and profound aura. When the cultivators in the city saw the imperial palace, they would naturally show a look of respect. What a demon emperor of the demon race! You even dared to kill my beloved third prince. Even your soul was suppressed under the 4 heavenly gates and trampled on by those who enter and leave. What a great desertion! You're humiliating this emperor. In an ancient hall, a middle-aged man who was shrouded in purple light and whose face couldn't be seen clearly sat on a dragon throne. He was wearing a purple emperor's robe and an emperor's crown, and his voice was low and angry. Clearly, there was a strong sense of anger in his voice. This middle-aged emperor was one of the most powerful figures in the heavenly world, the leader of the ancient emperor dynasty. The ancient emperor. The ancient emperor's aura that had been cultivated for countless years made it impossible for people to look at him directly. The natural aura that he exuded was enough to shatter the void. His eyes were golden and contained emperor's might. His voice was filled with anger, and he said coldly, "The Jade Lake Grand Meeting and the Feast of Peaches. Although I'm restricted by the sovereign's order, and I can't do it personally, I won't let you do as you please." His voice carried an indescribable charm. There seemed to be a faint smell of blood. In the heavenly fragrance great world. Within the sky incense valley. Xiang you can't miss the Feast of Peaches held by the Demon King this time. When the time comes, you will lead the disciples of the valley there. I believe that with the help of the incense offerings before, our idea of uniting with the demon tribe may have a chance to be realized. If possible, we must build a floating fragrance valley in the 1,000 demon city. A delicate voice sounded. Mother, don't worry. I understand. I don't think the Demon King would reject the good intentions of our Sky Incense Valley. A clear and melodious voice echoed throughout the valley. In the eyes of countless forces in the universe, the Feast of Immortality was definitely not just a simple banquet. It was also the best opportunity to establish a good relationship with the demon clan. The Devil Race. The Devil Race now had the capital to be taken seriously by all the forces in the universe. The four great armies were all at the ancient Great Demon Realm. This was not to be underestimated. In addition, the ancient city had already been upgraded to a supreme divine artifact. The ancient city had become a world of its own. It was not filled with acquired vital energy, but the rare Sciention vital energy. This was enough to make the rise of the Devil Race unstoppable. On the surface and in the dark, the Devil Race was like a terrifying beast with the potential to become an overlord. No one wanted to be unlucky at this moment. Because of the Feast of Peaches, the entire universe was in an uproar. However, all this was meaningless to Chertion. He entered the exquisite pagoda directly. Each level of the pagoda was filled with large amounts of monsters. The first level was filled with monsters that had yet to take human form, while the second level was filled with small monsters that had already taken human form. The higher the level, the higher the cultivation level of the monsters required to enter, and similarly, the higher the level. The levels were clear. They made use of the exquisite pagoda's ability to reverse time to cultivate. There were a total of 9 levels in the exquisite pagoda. However, Chertion had only broken through to the 6th level. After that, due to various reasons, he was unable to continue. With his current battle strength, he could break through the entire exquisite pagoda. After entering the pagoda, he did not immediately break through the restrictions. Instead, he went straight to the 6th level, found a quiet mountain, and sat down cross-legged. The time in the 6th level was 250 times of the outside world. After entering, he did not do anything else. He directly activated the Book of Imperial Shocking World. Starting from the first volume, he started to cultivate again. He channeled the true force of the Imperial Extreme True Force and circulated it in every demon vein. Boom! Boom! In the void, various desires descended. Happiness, anger, sorrow, fear, seeing, taste, fragrance, touch, will, hearing, and even the newly opened worry demon vein led to the power of worry. 11 types of desires continuously flowed through the countless pores of his body and quickly entered his body. They fell into the demon palace and were refined into the purest form of Imperial Extreme True Force. Within the demon abode, the 11th grade Black Lotus was constantly rotating at a constant speed. Every rotation seemed to contain a mysterious Tao rhythm. Within the Black Lotus, the purplish gold Royal True Force was like a sea that was filled with seawater. However, the Black Lotus was vast and the Royal True Force only occupied 20% of the Black Lotus capacity. The true force of the Imperial Extreme True Force that was absorbed from the outside world and transformed into Imperial Extreme True Force. Although the amount was not small, to this 11th rank Black Lotus, it was like a cup of water in a burning cart of firewood. It was just a drop in the ocean. He did not see how it moved at all. If he wanted to fully absorb it at normal speed, he would not be able to do it without 5,000 to 6,000 years. However, at the same time of cultivation, it was also a process of tempering. Chertion did not have the slightest bit of impatience. While he was activating the cultivation technique, his mind was constantly recalling the various battle scenes from before. Various scenes were rapidly revolving and flashing in his mind. His mind was constantly absorbing the experience and essence, integrating it into his own body and transforming it into his own cultivation realm. At this point, his early ancient heavenly demon realm had been completely stabilized. At the same time, there were 5 immortal divine rings that were derived from his flesh and blood. They were constantly rotating, crushing the demon body inch by inch and tempering it. Cultivation knew no time. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed in this cultivation. However, in the outside world, only half a month had passed. Huff! He slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, opened his eyes, and muttered to himself, "Cultivation knows no time. These 10 years have only allowed me to absorb the insights and battle experiences of these years. The true power in my body did not grow quickly. It seems that to reach the ancient heavenly demon realm, every small step forward is an extremely long process. Of course, before becoming an ancient celestial demon, you can rely on various treasures to rapidly increase your cultivation. However, once you become an ancient celestial demon, your cultivation will focus on a kind of willpower. Wherever your willpower goes, everything will be reduced to dust. Every move you make will be imbued with supreme willpower. Furthermore, this kind of willpower is unique to you. It is a kind of state, a kind of understanding, and a kind of understanding of your own temperament. Only the Supreme Will can create all miracles and change the world. The most important thing is to transform the Tao into the Supreme Will. Without the Supreme Will that goes against the heavens and fights against life, it is impossible to break the shackles of heaven and earth and become a peerless expert. At that time, no external force will be able to help you. Only your own body is eternal. The will is immortal and will last forever. Dark said very seriously. It was as if he was explaining the future path of cultivation to Sakra Shur-Tian. Every word and sentence was as smooth and clear as a pearl. Yes, Di Shur-Tian had always valued Dark's advice. After pondering for a while, he nodded and said, "I see. I was wondering why I felt that I could not continue when I created the 11th volume. So this is the problem. After the Feast of Immortality, and returning to the purple gold mainland, I will devote all my attention to cultivation. However," he paused, looked up at the sky, and said meaningfully, "Now is the time to go and see that lightning dragon." As soon as Di Shur-Tian's voice fell, his entire body mysteriously disappeared from the exquisite treasure pagoda. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in the inner world of Tian Fa. Looking at the inner world now, it was no longer as barren as before. Under the ground, countless dragon veins were shuttling back and forth, forming mountains. Countless flowers and trees were born and grew like towering trees. Beneath the ground, innumerable streams of draconic chi were gathered, and the air was filled with abundant Xiantian origin energy. Compared to before, the inner world had expanded by several times, perhaps even dozens of times. With the support of the origin energy, the inner world was constantly expanding. At this moment, it was already 30,000 zhang wide. Compared to the initial 10,000 zhang, it was like the difference between heaven and earth. In the void, there was a grotesque and variegated scene. 7 colors swirled, and the power of desire turned into clouds that floated in the sky. In the deepest part of these desire clouds, there was a magical picture scroll that was connected to the inner world. It was filled with endless desire energy. It seemed to be the source of desire. The barrier of the inner world was unusually strong. In the picture scroll, there were many holy spirits sitting cross-legged, emitting endless purple emperor chi and desire energy. This picture scroll was Di Shur-Tian's territory, the virtual illusory realm. A picture appeared in the virtual illusory realm. A colossal dragon that was no less than 30,000 feet long, and its entire body was like an amethyst crystal. Perfect amethyst dragon scales covered every inch of its body, and it had 9 claws under its body. It naturally exuded a ferocious aura. In front of it, countless food appeared like a tide. Countless shiny treasures were piled up under its body, and a large amount of delicious food was being swallowed into its stomach. In its eyes, there was a look of joy and indulgence. In its eyes, there was only the endless food. It was constantly struggling. It was the primordial thunder dragon that it had absorbed in the land of chaos years ago. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com to read more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 846. Do you want to tame this immemorial thunder dragon? Ming knew Sakura very well, and could see his intention at a glance. He couldn't help but say in surprise, "This primordial thunder dragon is not simple. If you hadn't trapped it with the virtual illusory land, with its battle strength, there wouldn't be many ancient giants who could harm its life. It's almost a god that was born in the endless thunder. Moreover, it is almost impossible to tame it. Inside its body, since birth, its divine soul is extremely strange. It is protected by a mysterious power. It is impossible to forcibly enslave it and put a seal on it. Unless it is willing, it is very difficult to tame it except for the Dominator." The immemorial 9 dragons were like the favored children of heaven and earth. They were protected by a mysterious power in their bodies. Unless they were willing, it was difficult to imprison them with any restriction. "How do you know if you don't try?" Tian smiled indifferently and took a step forward. Suddenly, his whole body entered the virtual illusory land. As soon as he entered the illusory land, there was a familiar feeling emerging from the bottom of his heart. It was like a wanderer returning home. This place was formed by his realm, which meant that it was a part of him. The virtual illusory land did not affect him at all. Looking at the immemorial thunder dragon in front of him, who was still immersed in the endless illusory land, he could not extricate himself. Although it was powerful, its identity as an immemorial 9 dragon made the growth of its spiritual intelligence extremely slow. Its ferocious nature had become its instinct, which surpassed its spiritual intelligence. However, he was strong enough to be comparable to the pinnacle of the ancient giant. "Disperse!" Sakura lightly spat out a word. Suddenly, in front of the immemorial thunder dragon, the originally happy life had completely changed. The endless delicacies were gone, and the sparkling treasures were also gone. The power of the virtual illusory land gradually dissipated from its body. Suddenly, the immemorial thunder dragon, who seemed to be living in a dream, woke up. Its huge eyes were gradually covered by traces of ferocious light. "Roar!" The immemorial thunder dragon let out a terrible dragon roar that seemed to only exist in the immemorial era. Its eyes focused on Tian. Its eyes were blazing with ferocious light, and the purple crystal dragon claw under its body directly blasted forward. The claw blasted down like the weight of Mount Tai. The domineering dragon power was unstoppable. It made his soul tremble. "Humph!" Indestructible imperial body. 5 indestructible divine rings immediately emerged from his flesh and blood. They revolved around his body and emitted a glazed divine light, as if they were real. He stood in front of the immemorial thunder dragon without even moving. Bang! Instantly, the first immortal divine ring was destroyed, followed by the second and the third. However, the fourth immortal divine ring was extremely tough and it blocked the ancient thunder dragon's attack. It could not land on Tian. "Primordial thunder dragon, you actually dare to attack me in I's inner world? You really don't know how to write the word death." Virtual illusory land. Tian did not care about the dragon claw that was right in front of him as he shouted indifferently. Suddenly, the power of desire entered the immemorial thunder dragon's body crazily. "Roar!" Of course, in front of the immemorial thunder dragon, there were countless terrifying scenes. Countless scenes that frightened it, such as the other 8 immemorial dragons besieging it at the same time, or being imprisoned in the abyss without any food for thousands of years, or being killed by an expert, etc. For a time, all kinds of terrifying scenes immediately made the immemorial thunder dragon roar in fear. Countless scenes of terror assaulted its mind like a tidal wave. Its intelligence. "Disperse!" Tion waited for a full quarter of an hour before he spat out a word. Suddenly, the power of desire that wrapped around the immemorial thunder dragon quickly dissipated. With this dissipation, the immemorial thunder dragon's consciousness suddenly began to awaken again. The fear dissipated and the fierce instinct took the upper hand again. The moment it saw Tion, it did not hesitate and blasted out another claw. Fear! Tion did not wait for the dragon claw to fall and said again. Immediately, the endless power of fear quickly drilled into its body. Immediately, in its mind, countless scenes that were full of fear flashed again. For a time, Tion stood in the virtual illusionary realm, constantly using the power of desire to invade the consciousness of the immemorial thunder dragon, constantly wearing down the fierce nature of the body, constantly letting it reincarnate in fear and sobriety, endlessly tasting the erosion of all kinds of desires. It made the immemorial thunder dragon scream again and again. This erosion lasted for 3 days. 3 days later, he looked at the immemorial thunder dragon again. The originally ferocious and incomparably domineering ancient lightning dragon had strangely become abnormally dispirited. Its huge dragon body lay on the ground, as if it did not have the slightest bit of strength. Its lifeless eyes looked towards Sakura, and for the first time, a terrified expression was revealed within its eyes. That kind of endless cycle of desire almost caused its mind to collapse. Immemorial Thunder Dragon, I know that you are one of the immemorial 9 dragons. You have a certain level of wisdom and can understand my words. Now I ask you, are you willing to follow I? Tion saw that the immemorial thunder dragon was almost tortured to the point where it had no strength, and finally opened his mouth to ask. His body naturally revealed a kind of intimidating majesty, which belonged to the demon emperor, surging towards the thunder dragon like a tide. This was especially so when he was in his inner world. In his inner world, he was the supreme god. That majesty was even more unpredictable. He even displayed his own heaven-defying combat strength. Why should this dragon follow you? The immemorial thunder dragon let out a hoarse voice. That voice, no matter how soft it was, had the feeling of thunder. His ears were buzzing, and it was very scary. Tion was very serious and sincerely looked at the 2 dragon eyes of the immemorial thunder dragon, and said, "Follow me, and there will be meat to eat." In those words, there was an indescribable sincerity that entered the thunder dragon's mind. The immemorial thunder dragon's eyes suddenly lit up. It opened its mouth wide, and its saliva was about to flow out. In the virtual illusory realm, although it had never heard of eating, that was just an illusion. In fact, it had been hungry for many years. Now when it heard of eating, it immediately drooled. Its eyes lit up, evoking its deepest desire. Follow me, and you will be protected by my demon clan. With luck on your body, you will be able to transform faster and gain wisdom. In the future, you will have the chance to become the great ancient dragon emperor, and be a peerless expert. Tion's words seemed to have a strange inciting power, and constantly fell into the ears of the immemorial thunder dragon. This dragon wants to eat meat. If you give me meat to eat, I will submit to you. The immemorial thunder dragon's eyes were about to narrow, and it immediately shouted loudly. It was unusually persistent about food. Good. As long as you wear this iron chain, I can satisfy you no matter how much you want to eat. Tion waved his hand, and suddenly, a huge chariot instantly appeared in midair. As soon as the chariot appeared, it was as if an ancient emperor had descended, exuding a supreme emperor aura. The chariot was purple gold in color, and on the surface, there were countless mysterious emperor runes, as if countless creatures were worshipping an ancient emperor. It was suffused with bursts of light, intertwining together like a huge purple-gold sun, exuding a dazzling divine brilliance. The supreme noble aura was even more obvious. Even the all-heavens cultivators, even if their cultivation base was slightly weaker, when they saw the chariot, They could not even open their eyes because of the divine brilliance. In an instant, their spirit would be crushed by the pressure of the chariot. Their physical body would explode into flesh and blood, and their eyes would be blinded. Just this chariot alone seemed to be able to suppress the entire void. Moreover, every part of the chariot was extremely exquisite and gorgeous, and there was a canopy that set off the majesty of an emperor. On both sides of the chariot, there was a battle spear hanging. In front of the chariot, there were 9 purple gold chains. Each chain was condensed from mysterious runes, and they seemed to contain a strange power that could restrain heaven and earth. These chains were used to restrain the strange beasts pulling the chariot. The Celestial Emperor's chariot? Dark exclaimed. Madman D, do you want to use the immemorial Thunder Dragon to pull the Celestial Emperor's chariot? No, my goodness, you're not only thinking about the immemorial Thunder Dragon, but also the entire immemorial 9 dragons. You want to use the immemorial 9 dragons to pull the Celestial Emperor's chariot. After seeing the mysterious chariot with the Supreme Emperor's aura, even someone as bold as Dark couldn't help but jump in fright. Since the Celestial Emperor's chariot is in my hands, it would be a waste to leave it idle. Shirtian looked at the Celestial Emperor's chariot. Because he cultivated the Emperor's Tao, the divine brilliance on the chariot did not obstruct him at all. On the contrary, as soon as he got close to the chariot, an extremely mysterious power began to activate the royal true force in his body. He could better understand the charm of the Emperor's Tao. This was a supreme treasure of the Emperor's Tao. Crash! The chains on the chariot vibrated, emitting a crisp sound that seemed to resound in the soul. Come! This is the one and only Celestial Emperor's chariot in this world. It itself is a top Khanate spirit treasure. Although it is a chariot, it is not a disgrace to your identity as one of the immemorial 9 dragons. Shirtian gently pointed at one of the 9 chains on the chariot. Immediately, the chain flew into the air and wrapped around the immemorial Thunder Dragon's neck. A trace of resistance flashed in the immemorial Thunder Dragon's eyes when he saw this. However, after glancing at Shirtian, that trace of resistance dissipated and he allowed the chain to bind his neck. Crash! When the chain bound the immemorial Thunder Dragon, countless purple gold talismans burst out from the chain and poured into the Thunder Dragon's body like a tide. The moment they touched the dragon's body, they immediately entered the dragon's body and connected with the Thunder Dragon's soul. In an instant, the immemorial Thunder Dragon felt a mysterious connection with the Celestial Emperor's chariot. At the same time, from the chariot, a mysterious power poured into the immemorial Thunder Dragon's body and quickly cleansed his vast dragon body. It even entered his mind and vaguely, his consciousness became abnormally clear. It seemed like the chariot was feeding back power to him. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 847. Although the immemorial 9 dragons were powerful, it was extremely difficult for them to gain intelligence. This was a kind of barrier and restriction placed on them by heaven and earth. Otherwise, once they gained intelligence, with their foundation, they would be able to break into the ranks of unparalleled experts in a short period of time and reach the peak. Each of them was a kind of rule of heaven and earth, born from the laws. Controlling the power of heaven and earth, they were blessed by heaven and earth. It was because their potential was too strong that even heaven and earth would be jealous of them and imprison them. Without a great opportunity, it was impossible for them to truly awaken their spiritual cavities. Although they had a certain level of intelligence, they would still be controlled by the bestial nature in their bodies. When their ferocious nature was unleashed, they would be incomparably violent. However, Now that the immemorial Thunder Dragon had agreed to submit to Di-Shirtion and was bound by the chains on the Celestial Emperor's chariot, waves of Emperor's power flowed from the chains and from the chariot into the Thunder Dragon's body. They turned into dense purple and gold chi and entered the Thunder Dragon's spiritual cavities, as if they were slowly nourishing it. In an instant, the immemorial Thunder Dragon felt its consciousness become unprecedentedly clear, as if it had become a little smarter. Its originally dispirited expression was swept away. Purple lightning circulated around its body, and countless lightning bolts appeared out of nowhere. The dragon's aura emitted caused the surrounding space to faintly distort. Good! Immemorial Thunder Dragon, from today onwards, you will follow I to conquer the myriad worlds and the demon god continent. The future will be splendid. You will definitely not regret your decision today. Let us fight side by side. Haha, Madman D, this celestial emperor's chariot was built by gathering the power of countless races in ancient times. It is an emperor's supreme treasure. It is said that a chaotic heavenly dragon was slain in the chaos, and the dragon's bones were fused into the chariot. Combined with the emperor's purple chi of countless emperors, the chariot can automatically produce Emperor's dragon essence. It is even more miraculous than Emperor's purple chi. It is the treasure essence that emperors yearn for even in their dreams. You are the first master, and you cultivate the Emperor's Tao. As long as you get on, you will immediately receive the dragon essence from the chariot. Your mind is connected to the chariot. Let the chariot recognize you as its master. Ming suddenly recalled something and hurriedly reminded him, excitedly. Di-Shirtion watched as the immemorial Thunder Dragon appeared in front of the Celestial Emperor's war chariot and pulled it. The mighty dragon's body and the Celestial Emperor's war chariot looked like a match made in heaven. Originally, the Celestial Emperor's war chariot was like an inanimate object. Now that it was being pulled by the immemorial Thunder Dragon, it suddenly burst forth with endless divine light, as though it had come to life. He soared into the air. Yi Futian landed on the Celestial Emperor's war chariot, but he did not enter it. Instead, he stood on the war chariot. In an instant, countless Emperor's path mystiques flooded into his body, cleansing him. A surge of pure Emperor Dragon essence fiercely poured into his flesh. Whoosh! The extreme Emperor indestructible body activated on its own. Divine rings quickly emerged from his flesh and blood. Sorrow, joy, taste, anger, and fear. The 4 undying divine rings appeared one after another. Starting from his feet, they began to grind his legs into dust like a giant grindstone. What a tyrannical Emperor Dragon essence! Such pure energy! Good, good, good! The undying obsession of fear has all entered I's body. When the Emperor Dragon essence entered his body, the impact was so strong that it felt like it was going to explode his entire body. If it were not for his strong physical body and the extreme Emperor indestructible body, he would have been crushed in an instant. As for the undying divine rings that were born from his flesh and blood, with the tyrannical Emperor Dragon essence as the source of power, they began to operate at an unprecedented speed. It was extremely fast. Starting from his feet, he was rapidly grinded into dust at a speed visible to the naked eye. Because the undying obsession of the undying obsession in the virtual illusory realm was extremely strong, upon his call, it poured into his body and fell into the 5th undying divine ring, the halo of fear. It merged with the Emperor Dragon essence, using the extreme Emperor indestructible body's activation method. In an instant they merged together. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant the entire Celestial Emperor's war chariot shook violently. The purple-gold divine radiance was unprecedentedly strong. It enveloped the entire war chariot like a blazing purple-gold sun. Yi Futian could not even open his eyes. Ding, ding, ding. His flesh and blood reformed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Within the undying divine ring of fear, a divine spirit with Di-Shirtian's appearance suddenly appeared. His face was filled with anger, and there were true dragons coiling around his body. The moment the divine spirit appeared, the undying divine ring also underwent a transformation. The entire divine ring suddenly condensed into a purple-gold divine ring that resembled a glaze. Countless mysterious runes flickered on it. The fifth undying divine ring was completed. Extreme Emperor indestructible body, I have broken through to the 6th level. The Emperor Dragon essence that had poured into his body from the Celestial Emperor's war chariot was not completely depleted. It continued to pour into his body. Opportunity! This was an opportunity given by the Celestial Emperor's war chariot. How could he let it go so easily? In response, Di did not integrate the Emperor Dragon essence into the 11th tier Black Lotus. Instead, he used it to strengthen his demon body and body. Every breakthrough in the Extreme Emperor indestructible body was a huge improvement. The reason why he was able to possess heaven-defying battle strength comparable to a peak ancient heavenly demon was because of the strength of his demon body. Moreover, the physical body only required a vast amount of energy. Before reaching the 11th level, there was no bottleneck at all. As long as there was a huge amount of energy, the boundless undying will could continue to break through. This was the best shortcut to increasing one's strength. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Di entire body expanded violently. 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet. In the blink of an eye, he had reached the limit of his demon body. His demon body was 70,000 feet tall. The 5 undying divine rings continued to revolve. It was as if an ancient emperor had descended. Bang! The 5 indestructible divine rings started to circulate crazily after receiving the support of the Emperor Dragon Chi. It was like a giant grinding mill, crushing the 70,000 feet long demonic body. Above the Celestial Emperor's war chariot, 129,600 drops of purple gold blood essence were condensed. Each drop of blood essence was sparkling and translucent like a purple crystal. Each drop of blood essence had a small indestructible divine ring revolving around it. Boom! In the virtual land, countless indestructible obsessions shook violently. After the 5 indestructible obsessions of self, happiness, anger, sorrow, fear, and taste, the indestructible obsessions of hearing also descended and merged into the drops of blood. Boundless Emperor Dragon essence was poured into the drops. The immortal Emperor body was transforming at an unprecedented speed. In just a short quarter of an hour, the blood essence gathered and formed a strange ancient formation. The undying body was displayed, and the demon body was formed. However, the demon body had grown to 80,000 feet in the blink of an eye, and there was another undying divine ring around it. The halo of hearing, the boundless Emperor Dragon essence, had condensed the 6th undying divine ring to an extremely powerful level. It was just a little bit away from becoming a crystal and materializing into a real divine ring. Huff! Di took a deep breath, and the undying divine ring around him quickly retracted. The powerful pressure also dissipated. The Emperor Dragon essence that gushed out from the Celestial Emperor's war chariot was completely absorbed. The immemorial Thunder Dragon turned around and looked at Di. Its big dragon eyes were filled with fear. The pressure that was released just now had even made it feel a little fearful. Especially the desire that was released from the undying divine ring, it had left a deep impression on it. It could not help but feel a strong sense of reverence towards Di. Good! Crazy Emperor, your physical body has become stronger again. It's even stronger than before. Now, even among the ancient heavenly demons, you're at the peak. Dark nodded in satisfaction. Although his cultivation realm had not increased, his combat strength had become stronger. His physical body was so strong that even precious treasures could not break it. Clang! Di was not moved by such praise. He reached out and pulled out the purple gold battle spear on the left side of the war chariot. He could feel a terrifying power that could destroy all things on the battle spear. Countless purple-gold divine runes intertwined, as if drawing out the supreme power that judged heaven and earth. They intertwined to form two strange Emperor runes, Judgment. When the heavenly Emperor was angry, all things would be destroyed. Blood would flow like rivers. When the heavenly Emperor was angry, he had the supreme power to judge all things in the world. This was the Judgment Battle Spear. It was a celestial emperor battle weapon created by the various races in the ancient era because the demon race had fought against the demon god and fought a bloody battle against the heavenly dome of heaven for their boundless righteousness and boundless benevolence. They had endlessly admired the demon race and created a celestial emperor battle weapon, granting the celestial emperor supreme authority. With this battle spear in hand, one had the power to judge all things in the world. What a good judgment battle spear! It's a pity that it needs the blood of the demon god race's demon god to be sharpened. Tion gently stroked the spear and inserted it back into the war chariot. Clang! With a move of his right hand, he pulled out another battle spear that shone with silver-white divine radiance. This battle spear also contained a terrifying power that could purify the world. The Emperor runes intertwined, and there were two mysterious ancient words on it, Demon Slayer. This was the Demon Slayer battle spear. It meant that the demon god race was an irreconcilable enemy of the origin world and should be exterminated. This was the responsibility of slaying the Demon Slayer. As the heavenly Emperor, he had to bear the brunt of the battle against the demon gods. Of the two battle spears, one was power, and the other was responsibility. This was the identity and power that the heavenly Emperor was bestowed by the various worlds. This war chariot was not an imperial chariot because it was used to proclaim martial prowess. Unfortunately, when the heavenly Emperor battle chariot was completed, the heavenly Emperor battle chariot was destroyed. From the beginning, the heavenly Emperor battle chariot had never displayed its true power. Power and responsibility? Tion inserted the Demon Slayer battle spear back into the war chariot. These two battle spears were one with the war chariot. He looked into the void with a deep gaze and exuded a strong sense of confidence. Heavenly Emperor battle chariot, O heavenly Emperor battle chariot, from today onwards you are I's battle chariot. Look, you and I can move unhindered, and no one dares to disobey us. Since your birth, you belong to the demon race. In the future, your name will spread throughout the heavens and earth. The heavenly Emperor battle chariot was sent out of the virtual illusory realm and back to the inner world. A large number of demon race members had already heard the news and sent over countless food. The immemorial thunder dragon opened its mouth and devoured without restraint. Let's go to the Bedlam lands. To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidian.com and read more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 848. Roar. The immemorial thunder dragon pulled the celestial emperor's chariot. The four purplish gold wheels under the chariot started to roll in the void, bursting with purplish gold flames. The flames were blazing like the trajectory of the heavenly Tao and the epic trajectory of the reproduction of countless living beings in the heavens. This was the first time the celestial emperor's chariot was being pulled since the primordial age. The immemorial thunder dragon raised its head proudly. Its purple dragon scales shone with divine radiance. It shook its body and burst forth with great power, pulling the celestial emperor's chariot. It charged out of the exquisite pagoda. The dragon's roar shook the entire demon city. Countless demon race cultivators and even all heaven's cultivators looked up into the sky. When they saw the celestial emperor's chariot appear with a loud rumble, they felt a pressure emanating from their souls that made them feel a deep sense of reverence. A terrifying heavenly pressure made them lower their heads involuntarily. They bent their bodies. Rumble. The celestial emperor's chariot turned into a purplish-gold sun. Under the immemorial thunder dragon's chariot, it sped out of the demon city and into the void. Billions of purplish-gold divine radiance spread out, shattering countless meteorites wherever it went. It seemed slow, but it disappeared into the horizon in the blink of an eye. Countless cultivators gasped in shock. My goodness, what was that? What a huge dragon. It's 300,000 feet long. I've never seen such a huge true dragon before. It's only used to pull a chariot. That chariot is really scary. Just one look at it and I feel fear and respect from my soul. It's as if I saw the supreme celestial emperor. I'm as small as an ant under that chariot. My goodness, is that a demon emperor sitting on the chariot? What chariot is that? Some cultivators were so frightened that they swallowed their tongues. The pressure was too terrifying. It's a purplish gold dragon. It's surrounded by lightning and has 9 claws. Is that dragon one of the legendary primordial 9 dragons, the immemorial thunder dragon? My goodness, if that's really the immemorial thunder dragon, what kind of chariot is it pulling? Is it the celestial emperor's chariot from the primordial age? The celestial emperor's war chariot, the legendary celestial emperor's war chariot. This is a war chariot created by gathering all the races in the universe. Didn't such a war chariot disappear in ancient times? Why would it appear here and fall into the hands of the demon emperor? Could it be that the demon emperor is truly the master of destiny of the demon race? In an instant, all sorts of discussions rang out in the ancient city. The appearance of the celestial emperor's war chariot shocked countless cultivators. Its aura was too overbearing. In a restaurant in the ancient city, in a private room, there were 3 silhouettes. They were none other than the 3 pests of the heaven realm. Qing Yuan, Lan Yu, and Shen Gong retracted their gazes from the celestial emperor's war chariot. Their hearts were clearly not calm. Is that the celestial emperor's war chariot? Qing Yuan stared at Shen Gongbao with deep eyes. It was as if she wanted to get confirmation from him. Yes, this is the celestial emperor's war chariot. I didn't expect His Majesty to find an ancient thunder dragon to pull the chariot. Shen Gongbao was also surprised. He paused and smiled at the 2 old friends in front of him. Now I have found a place to stay. From now on, I can't leave my identity as a member of the demon city. What do you think? What do you think of what I just said? As long as you are willing to stay, with the demon emperor's magnanimity, he will definitely treat you well. Elixirs. The demon emperor has a large number of heavenly vitality elixirs, as well as a large number of longevity elixirs, various spiritual wines, and a large number of resources for your cultivation. Moreover, you should have nothing to worry about. Qing Yuan, you are a half-demon. In the human race, you have always been discriminated against and will not accept. Lan Yu, you are from the Ice Snow clan. Now is the time for the demon race to flourish. With the demon city as a supreme divine artifact, there are only a handful of people in the world who can destroy the foundation of the demon race. The rise of the demon race is unstoppable. If you work in the demon city, it will be extremely beneficial to the Ice Snow clan behind you. Shen Gongbao's mouth was full of lotus flowers. With a gentle smile on his face, he quickly said all kinds of tempting words. He wanted to recruit these 2 friends for Di Shirtian. Whether it was Qing Yuan or Lan Yu, they were both experts who had stepped into the eternal giant realm. Since they had agreed to submit, Shen Gongbao naturally began to plan for the future of the demon city. Previously, Di Shirtian had shown all kinds of trump cards. The supreme demon city had filled him with confidence for the rise of the demon race. The original trace of resistance disappeared in an instant. He began to sincerely think of ways to increase his strength. The celestial emperor's war chariot. Interesting, really interesting. I am now more and more interested in the demon emperor. Moreover, even you have joined. Count me, Lan Yu, in. We are the 3 evils of the heaven realm. If we don't have you, Shen Gongbao, wouldn't we only exist in name? Lan Yu's eyes flashed with blue light, and the corner of his mouth pulled into a playful smile. If you don't mind my identity, I can join. Qin Yuan was silent for a while before he finally said. In his heart there was always a barrier, and that was his origin, his identity. He was a half-demon born from the union of the demon race and the human race. In the human race, he was not liked at all. He had suffered a lot of discrimination. Naturally, he did not have much sense of belonging to the human race. If the demon race was willing to accept him, he would not have any scruples about betraying the human race. All right. When Shen Gongbao heard this, he smiled faintly and said, when the demon emperor returns, I will personally bring you there. After pausing for a while, he changed the topic and said, this time, you are in luck. There should be a seat for you at the Immortality Peach Banquet. The legendary Immortality Peach Tree. This should be the first time it bears fruit. The taste of the Immortality Peach Tree will definitely be extraordinary. Lan Yu licked his lips and said, rumble. The immemorial Thunder Dragon was extremely fast, and the Celestial Emperor's war chariot was even faster. It shuttled through the endless void, moving forward in a straight line. Anything that stood in its way would be turned into dust. Although the Bedlam lands were constantly moving through the endless void, and once it disappeared, it would be extremely difficult to find it, but the immemorial Thunder Dragon seemed to have a unique ability to sense the Bedlam lands. Suddenly, the immemorial Thunder Dragon tore a hole in the void and pulled the Celestial Emperor's war chariot through it. Woo-woo! The scene in front of them changed abruptly. A fierce storm instantly swept toward the immemorial Thunder Dragon and the Celestial Emperor's war chariot. The storm was extremely dark, and it had a fishy smell. Just a whiff of it was enough to make one nauseous. If one came into contact with it, one would immediately turn into a pool of poisonous water. This was a toxic storm. Roar! The immemorial Thunder Dragon did not even have the urge to look at the toxic storm. It rushed into the storm and pulled the Celestial Emperor's war chariot through it. The poison could not stick to the Celestial Emperor's war chariot at all. It was immediately ground into nothingness. The Bedlam lands I have finally returned. The Celestial Emperor's war chariot stopped in midair. Sitting on the war chariot, Di Shirtian scanned his surroundings. Everywhere he looked, there were endless disasters. Toxic, swamps, traps, black holes, lightning, poisonous flames, ice, and so on. All kinds of disasters seemed to appear out of nowhere. Even the air was filled with a terrifying aura of disaster. The dark sky was terrifyingly gloomy. Who knew how many terrifying beasts were hidden in the disasters? Lunatic D, could it be that you came here to capture the immemorial 9 dragons? Underworld asked in shock. The Bedlam lands not only have the Lightning Dominion, but also the Fire Dominion and the Ice Dominion. If the Lightning Dominion can give birth to the immemorial Thunder Dragon, then it can give birth to the immemorial Fire Dragon and the immemorial Yellow Dragon. Only when the immemorial 9 dragons gather can the Celestial Emperor's war chariot's true power be unleashed. Di Shirtian did not hide his purpose in coming here. The Myriad Demon City was temporarily restricted by the ruler's order. Although the autarchs gave the demon race a place to live and reproduce, they were restricted and could not unleash their combat strength. Therefore, he needed to find a new means of transportation. The Celestial Emperor's war chariot was obviously the best treasure. If he had the immemorial 9 dragons to pull the chariot, he would even dare to fight against a peerless expert. The Bedlam lands were formed by a piece of Chaos Shard, so the chances of the immemorial 9 dragons being born here were very high. Let's go. To the Fire Dominion, Di Shirtian said to the immemorial Thunder Dragon. Ever since entering the Bedlam lands, the immemorial Thunder Dragon's eyes were filled with excitement, as if he had returned home. When he heard Di Shirtian's order, he immediately moved his body and pulled the chariot, speeding towards the south. He was simply running amok. All kinds of disasters were destroyed in an instant. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared. Crack! Not long after he left, a huge crack suddenly appeared in the void. The crack did not appear on its own, but was torn open by a pair of hands. Swish, swish, swish. The crack did not close immediately after it was torn open. Inside, figures quickly shuttled out. In the blink of an eye, a total of 18 figures appeared in mid-air, all of them standing in the void. Strangely, the auras of these 18 figures were abnormally weak, as if they were ordinary people. Their auras were faintly discernible. They were uniformly dressed in pitch-black robes and wore strange cloaks that covered their faces, making it impossible for others to see their faces clearly. However, among them, one of the black-robed figures, who was obviously the leader, had a picture of a golden skull on his chest. The other black-robed figures only had pictures of bronze skulls on their chests. This seemed to be a symbol of their status. Third leader, we have just received news that the Demon King has entered the Bedlam lands. He should be in front of us, a black-robed figure said in a hoarse voice. All right, immediately spread out and search in all directions to find out the exact location of the Demon King. Be careful and hide. According to the news, the Demon King is driving the Celestial Emperor's war chariot. Be careful. After we find him, we will wait for an opportunity to kill him in one blow. The leader of the Golden Skeletons said in the same hoarse voice. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 849. Yes, third leader. The other 17 black-robed men replied at the same time. According to the Honorable Envoy, the Demon King has the battle prowess of an ancient tycoon. His physical body is extremely tough. He created the ultimate Emperor immortal body, which is not inferior to the 9 revolutions' mysterious art in the land of exile. Anyone who finds traces of the Demon King must not act rashly, lest they alert the enemy. They can only send out a signal. Once all 18 of us have gathered, we will surround and kill him. Remember not to forget. The third leader with the golden skull on his chest said in a low voice. After repeated reminders, he waved his hand and said, Disperse. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Immediately, all the black-robed men quickly moved in different directions. Their cultivation techniques were quite strange. They seemed to be able to teleport as they moved. Moreover, their bodies were strangely between corporeal and intangible. They seemed to fuse with the darkness and shadows. Even the aura around them was unusually restrained. No one could detect the slightest bit of their aura. It was as if they did not exist at all. They moved like ghosts. In the blink of an eye, they all disappeared. Suddenly, a stack of dark green bamboo leaves that looked like they had grown from bamboo appeared in the hands of the 3 leaders of the Golden Skeletons. These bamboo leaves were completely like dark green crystals that were as transparent as jade. There were mysterious veins that interweaved and covered the entire bamboo leaf. There was not the slightest bit of aura seeping out from them. It was as if this was the most ordinary bamboo leaf. These seemingly ordinary bamboo leaves were held in the hands of the 3 leaders as if they were precious treasures. The most miraculous thing was that there was not only one such bamboo leaf. Instead, there was a stack that was as thin as a cicada's wings. The stack was not tall, but there were a total of 108 of them. Seal! With a clatter, the 108 bamboo leaves flew out of the 3 chiefs' hands. At the same time, they formed a series of mysterious hand seals and sent them into the bamboo leaf. In the blink of an eye, all the bamboo leaves fused into the space of the chaotic ground. Mysterious shackles seemed to have been added to the space around the chaotic grounds. The forbidden space leaf bestowed by the Honorable Envoy is really mysterious. The third leader sensed the change in the air and muttered to himself. He nodded to himself, then turned around and silently disappeared. Stop! The primordial lightning dragon was pulling the celestial emperor's war chariot. None of the disasters in the Bedlam lands could get within 100 zhang of the war chariot, as they would be crushed by the shockwaves. The war chariot traveled at an incredible speed, and in the blink of an eye, they could see a gigantic mountain of flames in the distance. That mountain soared into the sky, its entire body emitting blazing flames. The outermost flames were the most ordinary flames. Further up was the primordial fire in a cultivator's body. Further up was the samadhi primordial fire. Further up was the sixfold primordial fire. Further up was the 90 primordial fire, and so on. The higher up the mountain of flames, the more terrifying the quality and power of the flames were. The most terrifying thing was that the flames on the flame mountain were exceptionally violent. Terrifying flames spread in all directions, enveloping a large area and forming a terrifying domain of fire. At the center of the fire domain was the gigantic flaming mountain. The celestial emperor's chariot hovered in the air without a dustpan. There were no bumps at all, as if it was walking on flat ground. The immemorial thunder dragon turned its head and looked at Di Shurtian in confusion. It seemed to be puzzled as to why its master had stopped at the fire domain instead of directly entering the fire domain. However, it was only puzzlement. Seeing that Di Shurtian had no intention of explaining, the immemorial thunder dragon breathed out a mouthful of dragon breath and hovered in the air. It shook its huge dragon head and looked around. Di Shurtian walked out of the emperor's chariot and stood on the chariot, carrying the slender tiger soul battle saber on his back. He didn't have any posture, just stood there naturally and connected to the chariot. He naturally exuded a peerless emperor's aura that shook the world, causing all the surrounding beasts to frantically flee as if a calamity was about to befall them. He looked up into the sky, his gaze deep, as if he was thinking about something. Within 100,000 zhang radius, all the various calamities seemed to have a mind of their own. They regarded the area around the celestial emperor's chariot as a forbidden zone and didn't dare to appear in this area. This caused a rare calm area to appear in the originally chaotic continent. At the edge of this area, behind a rock that was as tall as 3 people, a shadow flashed. Clang! Di Shurtian placed his hand on the tiger soul's slender saber hilt. With a twist of his wrist, the tiger soul came out of its scabbard with a crisp sound. He placed the slender golden saber horizontally in front of him and gently stroked it with his left hand. On the saber's body, there were many fishbone-like saber runes that rippled like water. A golden tiger god emerged from the saber. It looked at Di Shurtian with an affectionate and sentimental expression. Tiger Soul, oh Tiger Soul, ever since you were promoted to a middle-grade Earth-rank demonic weapon, you have yet to drink blood, Di Shurtian said to the Tiger Soul indifferently. Roar! The Tiger Soul's saber vibrated violently and let out a tyrannical tiger roar that thirsted for blood. The saber exuded a strong battle intent and killing intent. The Tiger Soul had accompanied Di Shurtian throughout his journey. It had gone through countless intense battles and drank the blood of countless experts. It had long been connected to Di Shurtian's heart and soul. It was his natal demonic weapon. All right, I will let you drink to your heart's content. If you want to drink, drink the blood of an expert. Di Shurtian seemed to be careless. He held the Tiger Soul's slender saber hilt in his right hand and suddenly swung the saber in a random direction. Crack! It was indescribable how fast the saber was. It was even faster than lightning. A golden saber mark appeared in the air. The saber's sharpness was restrained and there wasn't any divine radiance. However, the Tiger Soul's saber was instantly extended to 5,000 zhang long. When the saber fell, it directly struck the huge rock that was as tall as 3 people to the right. Under the sharpness of the Tiger Soul, the rock was split open like tofu. It couldn't even block the saber. Ah! Blood flowed out from the split rock. The surrounding rocks exploded and a figure in a black robe jumped out from the rock. What was even more frightening was that the black-robed person's entire body was split in half from head to toe by the tiger soul. A large amount of blood essence was devoured by the tiger's soul like a tide. The terrifying saber light minced the body that was split into pieces on the spot. A shrill scream soared into the sky. The minced flesh seemed to have a mind of its own. It turned into thousands of pieces and quickly flew to the side. After flying for 1,000 zhang, all of them gathered together and wriggled strangely as if they had a life of their own. In the blink of an eye, a new body was formed. A black robe covered the entire body. Even after being split open, it could still gather together and regenerate. Regenerating flesh and blood, an immortal body. He's an ancient powerhouse. However, so what if he's an ancient powerhouse? He's so sneaky and petty. Sakura coldly glanced at him. The tiger soul blade in his hand turned and suddenly swept towards the black-robed man. This blade caused the black-robed man to be incomparably shocked on the spot. He only felt that there was no way to dodge, no way to evade. Every blade and every move contained a terrifying will within the blade. Whoosh! A pitch-black skull flew out of his hand and exploded into the sky. A mysterious fluctuation spread out in all directions. Crack! The tiger soul slashed the black-robed person's waist into two again. Roar! With a domineering tiger roar, a golden ray of light shot out from Di Shirtian's hand. The saber pierced the black-robed person's body. The terrifying power pierced through the black-robed person and sent him flying. He fell to the ground. A terrifying devouring power came from the tiger's soul. A large amount of flesh and blood was swallowed by the tiger's soul into the saber. In the blink of an eye, the upper half of the black-robed person's body was devoured by the tiger's soul. The dark green pearl on the tiger's soul shone with a demonic light. Whoosh! The lower half of his body that was chopped off. When he saw that scene, he only felt that a casual chop from Sakura was like the punishment of heaven and earth. He didn't even have the strength to resist. That feeling of being like an ant made him not even think about it, and without the slightest bit of hesitation, he immediately spread his two legs and frantically escaped. If an ordinary person saw this, they would be scared half to death. It's too late to leave. Thunder Dragon, this is your food. I'll leave it to you, Di Shirtian said calmly as he looked at the lower half of the black-robed person's body that was running away. Roar! When the immemorial Thunder Dragon heard this, its eyes flashed with amethyst lightning. It was extremely excited. It extended its dragon claws and grabbed the upper half of the black-robed person's body. Whoosh! Just as the immemorial Thunder Dragon grabbed the upper half of the black-robed person's body and was about to stuff it into its mouth, a pitch-black battle sword suddenly came from afar. The sword slashed the dragon claws and collided with the fine dragon scales on the dragon claws. There was a terrifying electric light. A clear sword mark appeared on the dragon scales. It was cut open, and streams of amethyst dragon blood flowed out. Roar! The immemorial Thunder Dragon was furious. Its dragon eyes looked in the direction of the battle sword. It quickly pulled back its dragon claws and threw the upper half of the black-robed person's body into its mouth. It started to chew, and blood and flesh splattered everywhere. Looking around, mysterious people in black robes appeared one after another. The eyes under the cloak were cold and murderous. You killed 18. There were 17 black-robed people. The one who spoke was the third leader with the golden skull on his chest. He let out a hoarse and unpleasant voice and looked at Di Shirtian coldly. Staring at Indra, who was standing on the celestial Empyrean's war chariot, his eyes narrowed as he felt a heavy pressure bearing down on him. It was like a subject meeting their emperor. One could only imagine how heavy the pressure was. 1 peak immemorial overlord, 10 late immemorial overlords, and 6 middle immemorial overlords. Including the early immemorial overlord, there are 18 immemorial overlords. Very good, I have been waiting for you for a long time. Sakura casually glanced at the black-robed men surrounding him, nodded his head and talked leisurely. To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. I support the author and I support the original readers. Chapter 850. Those with tickets, please raise. His tone seemed to indicate that he had been waiting for them to come out. He was not surprised by their appearance at all. His eyes were calm. It was as if he had expected this. These words made the third leader, who was already extremely wary of Chertion, narrow his eyes again. He did not attack immediately. Instead, he threw out a pitch-black compass that hung in the void. As soon as the compass appeared, the surrounding tens of thousands of miles seemed to be strangely bound and turned into another world. It was confined by a strange boundary restriction. "Humph, Demon Emperor, did you know that we would come?" the third leader asked hoarsely. Seeing that the compass had fused with the void, he seemed to have nothing to fear and was not afraid that Chertion would escape. However, the murderous intent in his words was still incomparably strong. This emperor is the enemy of the entire world. The demon city intimidates everyone. If this emperor doesn't leave the city, I'm afraid no one would dare to kill me. If I didn't create an opportunity for you guys and personally find a battlefield, how would I be able to lure out you guys who are secretly spying on me? Sakura said calmly with a trace of coldness in his voice. Have the entire world as his enemy. He had known this for many years. If it were not for the demon city's supreme artifact, which was a deterrent to the myriad worlds, many experts would have tried to assassinate him. Even so, he guessed that there must be countless eyes watching his every move in the vicinity of the demon city. In his inner world, with the help of the dragon essence in the celestial emperor's chariot, he had broken through to the 6th level of the extreme emperor indestructible body and condensed 6 indestructible divine rings. His physical body had become even stronger. His battle strength had also improved. In addition, he wanted to see the power of the celestial emperor's chariot and see how many people were lurking in the dark to kill him. He directly drove the chariot into the land of chaos. It was not unintentional. He wanted to use the land of chaos as a battlefield. Looking at the 17 black-robed men in front of him, Chertion felt a chill in his heart. This was an organization, a force with a goal. They wanted to kill him. TSK, what a guy. I wonder which power it is to be able to send out 18 ancient giants to kill you at once. He even used a supreme treasure to seal the void and confine the heavens and earth. It seems like this was premeditated. Dark let out a few strange cries. He looked at the black-robed men with interest. The uniformed skeletons clearly showed that they were all experts from the same faction. Today they came, but they can't leave. Chertion's heart was cold. What? The third leader's eyes narrowed as he looked at Chertion's face, as if trying to guess if he was telling the truth. However, in the blink of an eye, he sneered, "Humph! It doesn't matter if you really lured us out or not. Demon Emperor, you can only rely on the 1,000 Demon City. I'm not afraid to tell you, in the land of chaos, the entire void has been sealed by this seat's forbidden space leaf. No matter how high your cultivation is, you can forget about getting in touch with the 1,000 Demon City within a day. Don't even think about summoning the 1,000 Demon City. Don't think this seat doesn't know that your battle strength is heaven-defying, comparable to the pinnacle of ancient giants. However, this time, 18 ancient giants are attacking at the same time. No matter how strong you are, you can forget about escaping. Today is the day you, Demon Emperor, die." From his words, it was obvious that he knew a lot about Chertion. With a wave of his hand, he shouted, "Set up the formation!" Swoosh! In an instant, the 16 black-robed men began to move at the same time, rushing in different directions as if they were about to set up a powerful killing formation. "Humph! I actually dared to come here. How can I not have a backup plan? If you want to set up a formation, you'd better play with my demonic beast experts first." Tion spat out sarcastically. With a wave of his sleeve. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Suddenly, there was a flash of light in front of him, and several figures appeared out of thin air. Hee hee, you want to scheme against our demon emperor? You must have eaten a bear's heart and leopard's gall. Ancient giants? Do you really think that our demon clan doesn't have any heavenly demons? Let's see if Grandpa Huang Quan comes out to play with you. Huang Quan stepped on the Huang Quan sacred river, and the water under his feet circled around his body like a long dragon. He sneered at the black-robed men who were moving quickly. With a thought, the sacred river quickly condensed into a Huang Quan sacred dragon. He stood on the head of the sacred dragon, and the sacred dragon opened its mouth and spat out a green mist towards a black-robed man nearby. Huang Quan of the demon clan, be careful. This is Huang Quan's sky mist. Once it touches your body, it will corrode your flesh. Corrupted magic treasures. The third leader's expression suddenly changed, and he quickly reminded in a hoarse voice. The black-robed man who was facing the Huang Quan's sky mist also changed his expression. The Huang Quan's sky mist came abnormally fast as lightning. It made him stop on the spot, and without thinking, a light flashed above his head, and a pitch-black umbrella appeared. The umbrella was covered with mysterious runes, and it emitted a gloomy aura. Whoosh! The umbrella opened on the spot, and it began to spin. Strands of pitch-black chi hung down, enveloping his entire body in the umbrella. Tisk, tisk, from the umbrella there was a strange sound, and sinister and terrifying skulls appeared one after another. The upper and lower jaws were constantly opening and closing, and they let out terrifying strange cries. The skulls emitted a green light, and not only did they block the Huang Quan sky mist, they also began to devour it. Humph, who are you people? How dare you assassinate the demon emperor? You really don't know your place. I'll let you have a taste of my power. Xie Sanyang, who was dressed seductively, sneered. Her delicate body swayed slightly, and she strangely attacked one of the black-robed men. Behind her, a black light flashed. Ah! The black-robed man let out a shrill scream. His body, which was originally standing in mid-air, suddenly fell to the ground like a weight. He hugged his head with both hands and fell to the ground. Outside the heavenly emperor's chariot, many figures appeared out of thin air. Other than Huang Quan and Xie Sanyang, there was also the iron-blooded and murderous Qi gourd. He looked around coldly. Blissful Boy held a wine gourd in his hand, and he looked at the black-robed men with a faint smile. There was also the heavenly silkworm, Xue Ho, celestial peacock lady, Shura Kill, and the assassin emperor. You didn't leave the city alone. The third leader's pupils shrank violently, and he suddenly narrowed his eyes into a thin line. He glanced at the many experts that suddenly appeared, and his heart trembled. 9 ancient heavenly demons. The demon emperor actually brought 9 ancient heavenly demons with him. He didn't leave the city alone. It was just as he said, they came prepared. If I didn't act like I left the city alone, how could I lure you out? Tian said calmly, without any complacency. Since Tian guessed that there would be people following him to assassinate him, he wouldn't be careless. Earlier in the Linglong treasure pagoda, he had silently gathered all the ancient heavenly demons in the city and had them hide in his inner world. At the critical moment, they would appear in one fell swoop and kill his opponent. Furthermore, the Celestial Peacock Maiden's confidence was bolstered by the fact that the Celestial Peacock Emperor had left the land of exile and entered the dazzling treasure pagoda. All of their previous accumulations were unleashed, and they all broke through to the ancient heaven demon level. This greatly boosted the strength of the demon clan. 9 ancient heavenly demons, good. I didn't expect the demon clan to have such a strong foundation. However, do you really think that you can stop our attack with just these 9? Dark Shadow, kill these 9 celestial demons for me. I want to destroy the demon clan's foundation. The third leader stood in midair and looked at Tian, who was standing on the celestial emperor's chariot, and gave the order without hesitation. Swoosh! Swoosh! Immediately, the black-robed men who had given up on setting up the formation had strange heavenly devil blades appear in their hands. They flickered with cold, pitch-black light. Their bodies seemed to turn into nothingness as they moved like ghosts. In an instant they attacked Tian Can, Huang Quan, and the others with unimaginable speed. Their bodies seemed to be able to shuttle through the void, switching between reality and illusion. We Demon Clan have been silent for too long. The myriad worlds have forgotten the strength of the Demon Clan in the ancient times. It seems that it's time to teach the myriad worlds a lesson. Jilo, let's have some fun with them. Gord Luzi was filled with an iron-blooded, murderous aura. Looking at the 16 black-robed men charging at him, not only was he not afraid, but he also emitted countless blood-colored murderous auras. Back in the demon realm, he had been fighting with demon gods almost all the time. The murderous aura and unparalleled fighting spirit that he had cultivated had already reached an astonishing level. When he lifted his eyelids, the murderous aura that burst out could shatter the enemy's courage. In an instant, the black-robed men clashed violently with the Demon Clan experts. However, there seemed to be a tacit understanding. The black-robed men did not charge at the Celestial Emperor's chariot. Tian Can and the others did not attack the third leader. On the battlefield, Di Shirtian and the third leader looked at each other from afar. Even if my subordinates are restrained by your Demon Clan experts, you still can't escape the fate of death. In the same realm, I am invincible, the third leader said in a hoarse voice. The third leader said in a hoarse voice. He paused for a moment before he suddenly said, "The Honorable Envoy once said that the combat power of a demon emperor is invincible among the ancient giants. However, I would like to exchange pointers with you and see if you can really block my divine ability." His hoarse voice revealed traces of extremely strong confidence and pride. Even if the demon emperor was invincible among the ancient giants, he still wanted to trample him under his feet. Honorable Envoy? Di Shirtian's eyes were deep as thoughts spun quickly in his mind. He said indifferently, "Let's see if you kill me or I kill you." As he said that, his gaze fell on the 2 spears on the Celestial Emperor's chariot. With a move of his right hand, the tiger soul returned to its sheath, and he casually pulled out the Demon Slayer spear. The Celestial Emperor's chariot, the most precious treasure bestowed upon the Demon Clan by the myriad worlds. Judgment represents power, and slaying demons represents responsibility. Today, I will kill you with the Demon Slayer spear. Anyone who goes against I is a demon. Di Shirtian held the spear. He felt that what he held in his hand was not just a spear, but a heavy responsibility. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 851. The Heavenly Emperor's War Chariot was one of a kind in this world. Naturally, the war chariot had the support of the Heavenly Emperor's aura. Di Shirtian stood on the chariot, wearing a black emperor's robe and exuding a majestic aura. He held the ancient silver-white war spear in his hand. Indistinctly, there were countless silver-white runes flowing on the war spear. Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer. There seemed to be different faces flashing on the battle spear. Among these faces there were the monster race, the human race, the beast race, the skeleton race, the ghost race, the azura race, and so on. The faces of countless races and creatures in the universe could be clearly seen on the battle spear. Their mouths were filled with hatred and malevolence. They were chanting an ancient incantation. Demon Slayer, Demon Slayer. It was just that he kept repeating it over and over again, but it revealed a supreme conviction. This was the will of all living beings, an indestructible will. This was the duty and responsibility that all living beings had given to the owner of the Heavenly Emperor's war chariot. As soon as he held the Demon Slayer war spear in his hand, Di-Shir-Tian felt that his entire body was connected to the Heavenly Emperor's war chariot, becoming one. From the war chariot, a mighty force surged into his body. On the war chariot, he suddenly understood the power and magic of the Heavenly Emperor's war chariot. It turned out that on the war chariot, no matter how much true force was consumed, it could be replenished in an instant. It was like the source of one's strength, supporting the Heavenly Emperor in battle. His strength would never run out. What was even more amazing was that even if one was severely injured on the war chariot, even if one's physical body was smashed, one could recover in an instant without any hidden injuries. Moreover, the most amazing thing was that in the war chariot there were Heavenly Emperor's fighting souls formed by countless emperors. Once they were activated, the Heavenly Emperor's fighting souls would merge with one's body and one would become an ancient Heavenly Emperor. In a short period of time, Di-Shir-Tian would possess the strength to fight against an unparalleled expert. However, this fusion would put a lot of pressure on one's physical body. Once the physical body could not withstand it, it would immediately collapse and damage the immortal body. Even the will that had merged with the fighting souls would be destroyed. Once that happened, one might fall from the immortal body. Therefore, although merging with the Heavenly Emperor's fighting soul was an unparalleled killing move, the conditions was equally frightening. According to the information transmitted from the war chariot, this kind of fusion was actually prepared for unparalleled powerhouses. Its true purpose was to allow the celestial emperors, who had reached the peerless master realm, to possess heaven-defying battle prowess that was unrivaled under the sovereign realm. This was the foundation of the Celestial Emperor War Chariot, a top-grade Khanate numinous treasure. In the eyes of the three leaders, when Di-Shir-Tian pulled out the Devil Slayer battle spear, his aura suddenly changed. His unmoving figure exuded the aura of an emperor. Vaguely, under the contrast of the Celestial Emperor's war chariot, he felt his battle prowess being suppressed. It was like a subject rebelling against the emperor. In terms of momentum, he was innately weaker. What a great Celestial Emperor chariot! What a great Demon Emperor Di-Shir-Tian! The third chieftain narrowed his eyes, and after a short pause, he continued, however, the Celestial Emperor's war chariot has always been sealed, and it needs to be unsealed with the blood of the Demon God Continent's unparalleled Demon Emperor. You won't be able to unleash the full power of this Demon Slayer war spear, at most half of its power. If you want to kill me, you might not be able to do so. The demon race, how can the demon race's bloodline be as noble as mine? As soon as he finished speaking, a strange silver-white palace lantern appeared in his hand. The palace lantern was very strange, and its style was very similar to the 9 palace lanterns of heaven and earth. However, it didn't have the hidden profound aura of the 9 palace lanterns. The flame in the palace lantern was a silver-white flame, burning fiercely and emitting a strange aura. Life lantern? Ming was originally watching leisurely, but when he saw the silver-white palace lantern, his dragon eyes violently shrank, and he cried out in shock, "Lunatic D, be careful, that's a life lantern. This person must be from the Soul Clan, the most bizarre Soul Clan in the legends. Their life lantern technique is extremely bizarre, and even the peerless masters are wary of it. Once it's ignited, it won't stop until one of them is dead. Once the life lantern is ignited and extinguished, Lunatic D, your life will also be extinguished. That's a true death, and not a single soul mark will remain. This is the most bizarre Tao of the soul." As he screamed, he was about to jump out of the Saint River of Huang Quan. "You're from the Soul Clan?" Di-Shir-Tian was shocked, but he didn't show any signs of weakness on his face. He just stared coldly at the third leader and said, "The Soul Clan actually dares to interfere with the matters of the demon race. Do you Soul Clan want to die?" Not only did he not show any signs of weakness, but he also acted like an emperor berating his subjects. That Supreme Emperor's aura rolled over like a tide. Bang bang bang! The third leader only felt that the pressure coming at him was unstoppable, and his whole body involuntarily took 3 steps back. His aura suddenly weakened. Humph! Even if you're a heavenly emperor, your soul will be under my control. Life Lantern, rise. The third leader seemed to be angry from embarrassment, and he spat out a sentence in a hoarse voice. It was unknown what kind of strange seal he made in his hand, which landed on the silver life lamp. Suddenly, strange ripples swept towards Indra silently like a tide. Whoosh! Tion only felt his spirit shudder, and when he looked down, a silver life lantern had strangely appeared in his chest. The life lantern was filled with purple lamp oil, and in the palace lantern, the silver-white lamp's heart suddenly burned. The light was extremely strong, and the moment it was lit, the lamp oil in the life lantern was rapidly absorbed by the lamp's heart, turning into flame, burning, and quickly falling. At the same time, Tian's spirit felt a terrible stabbing pain, like a needle on his back, and a strong sense of danger constantly stimulated his mind. This was an omen from his life. Not good, he's already lit your life lantern, and the oil in the lamp is your soul. Once the oil is completely burned out, the life lantern extinguishes, and that's when you, lunatic D, will die. Quickly kill this shameful guy. As long as you kill the person who used the life lantern technique, the life lantern will extinguish itself, and when it does, as long as there's oil left in the lamp, you won't die. You must be quick, kill this soul race. Even Dark's dragon scales seemed to be crazily standing up. It issued a terrible warning, and in an instant, Tian's chest, as if a ball of fire had been completely ignited. Anger like never before. My fate, even the river of fate can't control it, but my life lantern was lit and my soul was burned. How could my soul be blasphemed? This was an action that touched Tian's nerves. Soul! How dare you blaspheme my soul? A monstrous anger surged into his mind like a tide. At this moment, even the Book of Shocking the World could not stop this anger, and only absorbed it, keeping his mind in a calm state. Kill! Tian's mind moved, and the immemorial thunder dragon roared, pulling the chariot fiercely, and charged towards the 3 leaders. This charge was like the wrath of the celestial emperor pouring down. Demon Slayer! Demon Slayer! The silver-white Demon Slayer war spear followed the celestial emperor's chariot's momentum, and blasted towards the 3 leaders. This spear did not seem to be fast, and one could clearly see the trajectory of the spear, but in the war spear, there were countless demon slayers, like the law of the heavens. Wherever the war spear pointed, if it said you were a demon, you were a demon. If you were a demon, you should be killed. This spear carried the supreme demon slayer will of all living beings in the universe, and that undying faith poured into the war spear as it blasted towards the 3 leaders. In the eyes of the 3 leaders, it was as if what he was facing was not a war spear, but the will of countless ancient living beings that had fallen at the hands of the demon gods. Countless living beings, countless experts gathered together to form a tide of demon slayers. In front of this tide, if you were a demon, you should be killed. In that instant, the 3rd leader felt his mind waver. It was as if his beliefs and willpower were about to crumble on the spot. He was greatly shocked. Without thinking, he waved the silver life lamp in his hand. Countless silver-white lights spread out like a tide, completely enveloping his entire body. It was incomparably hot, as if he was a silver-white sun. Rumble! The Demon Slayer war spear blasted directly on the light, but the light barrier was not penetrated at all. Instead, it trembled violently, like cotton, and gave off a strange elasticity. Even though it was shaking violently, and even though the war spear had penetrated dozens of feet into the light barrier, there was still an endless stream of light surging towards the war spear like a tide, exuding a huge potential, trying to repel the war spear inch by inch. Roar! The immemorial thunder dragon roared and exerted force, pulling the war chariot. A huge impact force was reflected from the Celestial Emperor's war chariot, landing on the war spear and turning into a powerful impact force. It was like a charging cavalry that could explode with 200% of its strength. Bang! The Demon Slayer battle spear instantly unleashed an ancient god force. In addition to Di Shirtian's vast Emperor True Force, the Demon Slayer battle spear's explosive god force was unstoppable. In an instant, the Demon Slayer battle spear unleashed a shocking amount of god force. Under the Demon Slayer battle spear, the Demon Slayer battle spear was instantly pierced through. Crack! The moment the spear pierced through, a small crack could be clearly seen on the silver life lamp. As for the third leader, it was as if he was struck by lightning, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. A light flashed above his head, and a pitch-black umbrella appeared. The umbrella opened, and countless skulls and demonic shadows emerged from the umbrella. Dense demonic chi gushed out. Great Luo demonic umbrella, open the umbrella and destroy the world! A hoarse voice came out from the third leader's mouth. Instantly, the umbrella began to spin, and countless skulls shot out from the umbrella. They screeched and bit down, and even a piece of space was bitten off. They gathered together, condensing into a skull that was thousands of feet long, shining with a metallic demonic brilliance. You dare to light Ai's life lamp, you're really courting death. To be continued. If you want to know the rest, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 852. Roar! The immemorial Thunder Dragon's eyes were filled with anger. How dare you light my master's life lamp? Aren't you courting death? It didn't even think about it. As it pulled the chariot, it stretched out its dragon claw and directly grabbed the huge skeleton that was whizzing over. Countless bolts of purple lightning carried a domineering heavenly might. Against evil, they had a shocking destructive power. Rumble! Countless purple divine thunders suddenly enveloped half of the void, forming a terrifying thunder region. As a primordial thunder dragon, the power of thunder it possessed could be called the primordial divine thunder. Its destructive power was second to none among the divine thunders. In an instant, the skull in the dragon's claw struggled violently, but countless bolts of lightning surged over. Countless hideous cracks appeared on the skull on the spot, and it was completely crushed with a loud bang, turning into countless pieces. Ultimate Emperor Immortal Body! His flesh and blood spun rapidly, and numerous immortal divine rings were quickly formed from his flesh and blood. They revolved around his body and spun. Sorrow, joy, anger, fear, and other desires instantly spread out like a tide, enveloping the third chief. Ah! The power of desire. What kind of power is this? Even my concentration pearl can't block it. The third chief's body shook violently, and he suddenly let out a scream. His voice was filled with fear, and his eyes seemed to spit out spring water. He had the concentration pearl, which could calm his spiritual soul and prevent it from being attacked by external demons. However, under the power of desire, he still couldn't completely block it, and was attacked on the spot. His combat strength dropped by more than 30% in an instant. Di Shirtian's power of desire was the purest form of immortal obsession. With the support of his inner world, the power of desire was as vast as the sea. As long as his divine spirit was not destroyed, large amounts of immortal obsession would rush into his body at every moment. This immortal obsession was not something that a mere concentration pearl could block. Demon Slayer! Di Shirtian spat out these two words coldly, and the Demon Slayer battle spear in his hand struck out again. Suddenly, 6 immortal divine rings appeared on the battle spear, and they spun continuously, emitting an endless amount of power, causing the battle spear to condense 6 different types of power of desire. Dharma Idol Augmentation. With a jerk of his body, 66 Dharma idols gushed out from his body. Boundless Dharma idols gushed into the Demon Slayer battle spear like a tidal wave. On the spot, the countless silver-white patterns on the Devil Slayer battle spear began to circulate as if they had a life of their own. The surrounding heaven and earth seemed to be connected to the entire world. This spear had already surpassed the limits of an ancient powerhouse. Dharma form, celestial emperor chariot, extreme emperor indestructible body, and many other powers were all infused into the battle spear. With the spear smashing down, the three leaders couldn't even resist. He felt as if he was a disobedient subject who was being judged by the emperor. His heart was invaded by boundless fear. Quick, 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 hurry up and burn out the life lantern. The third leader screamed in his heart. In D. Shirtian's life lamp, 2/3 of the oil had been burned away. Poochie! However, the silver-white Devil Slayer battle spear suddenly pierced through the void and smashed into the third leader's chest. The spear was incomparably sharp and pierced through the third leader's body. The tip of the spear poked out of the third leader's back. With a loud bang, the tyrannical power contained in the battle spear instantly minced his body into pieces, causing him to explode with a loud bang. Countless pieces of flesh and blood shot out in all directions. Whoosh! An illusory soul body suddenly emerged from the destroyed body, and with a terrifying speed, it quickly fled backwards. The life lantern hasn't been extinguished. This soul isn't dead yet. Quick, don't let him escape. If he doesn't die, you'll die, lunatic D. Hurry up and destroy that soul. You want to leave? Stay here for I. D. Shirtian's heart was cold. He had long known that every ancient giant had a strong vitality. Almost every one of them was extremely difficult to kill. If they didn't have an immortal body, then they had an immortal primordial spirit. Even if a trace of them escaped, they could be reborn again. They were like cockroaches that couldn't be killed. The purple-gold divine pattern between his brows wriggled quickly and opened to both sides. A cold purple-gold eye was revealed. Divine punishment, divine eye, divine punishment. Whoosh! A purple-gold divine light suddenly shot out of the divine eye. It was so bright that it seemed to have substance. As soon as the divine light appeared, it exuded a godly aura that transcended the boundaries of space and time. Almost instantly, it caught up with the soul that was as fast as lightning. The divine light swept across and brushed against the soul. Great Luo Demon Umbrella! The third leader shouted, and the umbrella covered him like a canopy, protecting him under the umbrella. Whoosh! The divine light of divine punishment swept across and brushed past the great Luo demon umbrella. On the spot, the demonic splendor of the umbrella dimmed, and its grade dropped. Swish, swish, swish. Under D. Shirtian's control, the divine light of divine punishment was as easy as waving his arm. He had reached the realm of an ancient heavenly demon. His control of the divine punishment divine eye was gradually improving. There were no more restrictions like before. After the divine light brushed past the umbrella, it immediately turned back and brushed over again. It kept brushing and brushing, and in the blink of an eye, it had repeated dozens of times. Crack! The umbrella was brushed into a pile of scrap metal. It shattered into pieces. Ah! Divine punishment, divine light. How can you have the divine punishment, divine light of the heavenly punishment clan? My soul! The third leader let out an ear-piercing scream. He finally saw clearly that this was the heavenly punishment, divine light of the heavenly punishment clan. The fear in his heart surged like a tide. The divine light brushed past his soul. At the same time, he felt that his deep soul comprehension, understanding of the heavenly Tao, and his own realm were all strangely erased. It was as if he had never comprehended it. His cultivation and dharmic power were all wiped out. No! A terrified scream shot up into the sky. The purple-gold divine light shot up into the sky, shaking the stars and shaking the void. It was as if the heavens had sent down divine punishment, as if the emperor had issued a judgment and judgment. It brushed past his soul, and in the blink of an eye, it had repeated hundreds of times. Each time, it took away a large amount of heavenly Tao comprehension and realm. He almost fell from the realm of an ancient giant. Roar! A golden stream of light, accompanied by a domineering tiger's roar, instantly broke through the air. It fiercely stabbed into his soul. He flew several thousand feet forward and stabbed into a hill. Then, he stared at the top of the hill. The domineering tiger soul saber was stabbed into it. An extremely strong devouring force was emitted from the tiger's soul green bead. It enveloped the entire soul and quickly swallowed it into the saber. Soul-devouring pearl. How can you have the soul-devouring pearl? How can you find the soul-devouring stone? The 10,000 bones soul-devouring tree was destroyed by my soul clan in the ancient times. This is impossible. Ah! With a shrill scream, his soul was pulled into the green bead at a speed visible to the naked eye. Esteemed envoy, save me! Only a mournful howl echoed in the void. The third leader was killed on the spot. Whoosh! This damn life lamp has finally been extinguished. Fortunately, it was just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. If he had escaped, the one who would have died would have been you, lunatic D. This life lamp divine power is too terrifying. The Soul Clan is really a bunch of lunatics. When Nether saw that his soul was destroyed, he stretched out his dragon claw and wiped his head as if he was wiping off cold sweat. He felt a lingering fear. This life lamp technique was really too strange and heaven-defying. It could directly ignite the enemy's life lamp, but what it burned was the enemy's soul. Once it was ignited, it was almost impossible to extinguish it. This soul clan was also extremely strange and difficult to kill. Once their life lamp was lit, the probability of death was higher than 90%. Just now, in just 3 or 4 more breaths, the life lamp would have been extinguished. It was obvious that D. Shirtion was on the verge of death. He was walking a tightrope on a cliff. His life was hanging by a thread. The Soul Clan is indeed terrifying. D. Shirtion took a deep breath and calmed his mind. Just now, he only felt that a sharp sword would fall from the top of his head at any time. That feeling was enough to make him collapse. He raised his eyes and looked around. He saw that the 5-colored divine light behind the peacock goddess swept out in a fan shape. Wherever it passed, the void distorted. Everything was brushed into the divine light. Several black-robed figures at the early stage of the eternal realm were swept into the 5-colored divine light on the spot. The gourd was even more ferocious. The iron blood gourd in his hand spewed out countless blood-colored murderous weapons that cut through the void. Wherever it passed, the void was cut into pieces. In the blink of an eye, a mid-stage eternal realm powerhouse was crushed into powder. Even his flesh and blood were not spared. They were all swept into the gourd and refined with the boundless iron blood murderous aura. The blood-devouring power was unparalleled. The battle spear had already pierced through a black-robed figure. The Huang Quan and the Sky Silkworm each displayed their abilities. The Huang Quan Saint River and the Yinyang Heavenly Bridge were all supreme treasures. Several Eternal Realm powerhouses were killed on the spot and swept into the Huang Quan. The Assassin Emperor moved like a ghost. The Shadow Clan's assassination technique directly pierced through the divine soul. The Azura killing heaven-slashing sword art had already reached the peak. With a swing of the sword, a terrifying sword mark was left in the void. Xie Sanyang also had an ultimate technique, poisonous hitching horse stake. It was extremely vicious and powerful. With her rich experience, she killed an expert in the blink of an eye. The Child of Bliss had a mouth full of lotus flowers. With just a word, he made a black-robed figure go crazy on the spot and send him to paradise. Almost at the same time that D. Shirtion killed the 3 leaders, the battle in the surroundings also came to an end. The 18 invaders were all killed. It seemed that other than the 3 leaders, the other 17 only had the combat strength of an Eternal Realm powerhouse. They didn't have a realm that was comparable to their own combat strength. It was as if they had forcefully increased their strength. Your Majesty, the invaders have all been killed. The Sky Silkworm, Huang Quan, and the others returned to the Heavenly Emperor war chariot and reported respectfully. Monster Emperor, what kind of power do you think these people are? They actually wanted to kill you. The Gourd coldly asked with a murderous expression. Looking at the corpses on the ground, they realized that there wasn't only one race. Other than the soul race that Di Shirtion killed, there were also the skeleton race, ghost race, winged race, beasts race, and many others. It was as if they were all gathered together. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.